This morning we had a attempt to broadcast an Invader League game between Hofburger and Lunta. Unfortunately, there were some issues with the Steam servers that ended up with that game actually being canceled. However, despite that, it looks like the servers are back up now, and we're actually going to be broadcasting a different game from the tournament. The original one was rescheduled, might happen later. Hopefully I'll cover that if that does happen. But in the interim, we're going to be streaming Asyer, or Asyer, I don't know how to pronounce that, versus Ronoc008, aka Bread Wizard. So in this game, we're going to be seeing an Imperial Mirror match, Empire versus Empire, and we'll have to see how this game progresses. So as you can see, the players are setting up right now. We're going to do a quick run through on the army lists being used here, and then we will proceed to the game as it progresses. Okay, so looking at the armies here, we see that they're both playing Imperial armies, but the armies are pretty different. We're going to start here with Bread Wizard, aka Ronoc. He's running General Veers. I've discussed Veers a bit before. He is basically the Imperial counterpart to Princess Leia. Like Princess Leia, he has decent personal fighting ability, but the main reason that you take him is for his support skills. He has the ability to pass aim tokens to friendly units at range 1. He has Inspire 1, allowing you to remove 1 suppression. He has Precise 1, allowing him to reroll 3 dice when he spends an aim token. And he has Sharpshooter 1, allowing him to reduce cover from units that he is firing at. His ranged attack is weaker than Leia's, but it is longer ranged. Instead of rolling 3 black dice, he rolls 3 white dice, but it has range 1 to 3 instead of range 1 to 2. So that's a significant advantage for Veers' gun when compared to that of Leia. The extra range really can matter. Additionally, he has a Surge to Crit, which is the same as Leia, and in conjunction with his Precise and Pierce 1, means that Veers can actually do a pretty good job of picking off that last trooper, killing a heavy weapon when it's just the heavy weapon and the squad leader left, that sort of thing. He does have a melee attack with 2 black dice, which is nice to have, and he's a little bit tougher on defense than Leia on base. He has 5 wounds with a red defense die instead of 6 wounds with a white defense die with Surge, which means he has 10 expected wounds to kill rather than 9. However, this is somewhat mitigated by the fact that Veers, unlike Leia, Veers is a little more vulnerable to piercing weapons since he has fewer base wounds and your save doesn't matter as much against those. And additionally, Veers does not have Nimble, so Leia can give herself a dodge token and get some extra survivability in a way that Veers can't quite match. That can be relevant in certain circumstances. Okay, so then we have here a standard unit of stormtroopers. These guys are pretty basic. Red defense die, white attack die with Surge, black die in melee. Precise 1, allowing aim tokens to be more impactful for them. Compared to Rebel Troopers, worse damage output, better survivability. There are 3 of these units that are equipped with the FX9 medical droid. So these are units that they don't have heavy weapons, so they're not going to be that strong on offense, but they have these medical droids that are going to enable them to keep units alive. And there are 3 of these squads, the kind of sea foam squad there, the brown squad, and the blue squad are all equipped with medical droids. Then we have 1 squad here of snowtroopers. They have the same basic stats as stormtroopers, but only move at speed 1 instead of 2. To make up for that, they have Steady, which is after you perform a move action, you may perform a free ranged attack action. That's a nice ability to have. Lets you get some extra shots in there. The snowtroopers are equipped with the classic Flame Trooper upgrade, giving them a weapon with 1 black attack die, blast, and spray. Interestingly, though, we aren't seeing... So this weapon ignores cover, and it adds a 1 die for each model that the Flamer Trooper can see in the defending unit. But there's actually something a little interesting here, which is that this unit hasn't been upgraded with grenades. Most of the time, these Snowtrooper Flame Squads are equipped with grenades, and the reason that is extra relevant is because the grenades can really beef up the other output. So when this squad gets in close, it will get 1 black die for each model in the defending unit that the Flamer can see. But it will only have one white die for each other model, whereas if you took grenades, you could easily make those all black dice or even add some red dice with impact or fragmentation grenades. So that's a little bit of an interesting choice here by Bread Wizard, aka Ronoc. I'm not sure it's the strongest option, quite frankly. So then, looking here, we have 2 units of the new Imperial Death Troopers. These are basically like Stormtroopers, Stormtroopers MK2. They have 1 wound, but like the other troopers, and they have a red defense die like the other troopers. But rather than having no surge, they have a surge on defense. They're going to make their saves 2/3 of the time rather than just 1/2 of the time. Additionally, they have courage too, so less affected by suppression. They have the same surge on offense, but instead of a white die with their rifle, they have a black die at range 1 to 3. That beefs up their attack substantially. And they have a additional weapon. They have a pistol that has 2 white dice at range 1 to 2, so that's going to do a little bit better than 1 black die, statistically speaking. Gives them that little bit of extra punch at close range. They also have a red die in close combat instead of a black die. And they have precise 2 instead of precise 1, meaning that they're going to get to reroll 2 additional dice instead of 1 additional die. So an aim token on a Death Trooper squad will actually give them 4 rerolls. They have Disciplined 1. When you are issued an order, you may remove up to 1 suppression token. And they have Ready 1. After you perform a standby action, gain an aim token. So these squads are pretty decked out. They are being equipped here with both the E11D, and interestingly, these are in the grenade launcher configuration. I suspect these might get swapped to the long-range configuration to begin with, but this is an upgrade that has reconfigure, so it's a double-sided card. One side is range 1 to 2, red attack die, blast, which ignores cover, and it exhausts. The other side is range 1 to 4, 1 black die instead of a red die, suppressive, and it exhausts. So this is a strong weapon upgrade, and this can be used by any model in the squad. Then I believe we're going to see the DLT-19D. Yep, that's what we see here. So this is a heavy weapon with 2 red and a white die at range 1 to 4, which really adds to the Death Trooper's firepower. So there's 2 squads with that same configuration, the configurable gun and the DLT-19D. Then we see a unit of Imperial Royal Guards. They are a close combat and bodyguard unit. They have Charge, they have Disciplined 2, and they have Guardian 2. Charge lets you do a free melee attack once you move into close combat. Disciplined 2 is like the Death Troopers but better. When you give them an order, they remove up to 2 suppression tokens. Guardian 2 lets you take hits for other units that are nearby. Now, unlike the Death Troopers, they do not have any surges at all, but one benefit of taking the Guards is that they have 2 wounds per model, which means that even though their save is a little worse than that of the Death Trooper, on average they will still have more survivability, taking 4 hits to kill on average rather than 3, and being a little less vulnerable to pierce. The Royal Guards have a Force Pike, which is 1 red and 1 black die in close combat, and a improved pistol that is 2 black dice at range 1 to 2, same weapon that is used by the Scout Troopers. So their offense is pretty decent, though they're kind of expensive. And their defense is quite solid, and they can take hits for other guys. We are seeing them upgraded with the Electro Staff Guard. This is an upgrade that's mostly useful against Jedi. It adds a model that actually has a worse weapon than default with 2 black dice instead of a red and black in close combat, but it gives you immune to pierce in melee. So that's like nice to have, and it also helps against Bosk, who has Pierce 1. I believe he's the first non-Jedi character to have Pierce in melee. They are equipped with Tenacity, which is, while performing a melee attack, if you are wounded or if 1 or more of your minis have been defeated, add a red attack die to your attack pool. This basically gives them an extra bit of punch in hand-to-hand combat, nice to have. And then they have Recon Intel to kind of get up there in the fight a little earlier. Now, then the last unit we're seeing here is Bosk. He's a new unit, as you can tell from this very proxy-heavy card. Bosk has not been released yet. He has 7 wounds, which is quite a lot, but he has a white defense die with no surge, which is the worst defense in the game, only going to save 1 and 6. However, he has a quite strong gun with 1 red and 4 white dice at range 2 to 4, Pierce 1 suppressive, and with surge to crit, this weapon's a major threat to almost anything. He additionally has Enrage 3, similar to Chewbacca. If he takes 3 wounds, he is going to become Suppression Dash. He will lose any suppression tokens that are on him, and he gains the ability to charge into close combat. He has Expert Climber, meaning that he can climb without being risk of being hurt. He has Unhindered, which means he can move through difficult terrain freely. He has Bounty, which means that you pick an enemy character, and if he kills that character and survives to the end of the game, you get an extra point. And he has Regenerate 3. This is a new rule that's only active for him. At the end of your activation, roll 1 white defense die for each wound token you have up to 3. For each surge and block result, remove 1 wound token. This is a very strong ability. It really provides him with some extra survivability on a character that's otherwise pretty weak. The downside is if they can focus a lot of fire on him, he will die quickly, potentially without getting a chance to use that regeneration. So when you're playing Bosk, it's pretty important that you avoid situations where the opponent can focus fire him with many units. Now, one last thing that Bosk has is a pretty strong melee attack with 1 red, 2 black, 1 white, and Pierce 1. That's quite a strong attack. And sometimes you will see people taking Bosk with Tenacity to improve that attack further and act as kind of a counter-assault element, though in this case I believe he has only taken the Hunter upgrade. So Hunter means when attacking a wounded trooper unit during the roll attack dice step, you may gain 1 aim token, good for getting an extra aim and going for those bounties. Okay, so that is Ronoc, aka Bread Wizard's army. Now we're going to spin across the table here and take a look at Asyer's army. He has the same General Veers. Same thing, support character, kind of good at fighting, mostly just going to pick some guys off, and primarily going to give aim tokens to other units, inspire other units, play some command cards. He has improvised orders. This is a strong upgrade. After an order token is drawn from a friendly order pool, draw a second order token from that pool, choose one to use, and shuffle the other back into the pool. If you do during the end phase, ready this card. This is basically just a backup plan in case you pull something that you don't want to pull yet. It can be quite useful. It's especially useful if you're running like Luke Leia, put it on Leia, and then if you have to activate Luke too early in the turn, hold him off. Pretty strong card. He's also running Director Orson Krennic, Architect of Terror. Krennic has 6 wounds, but he has a white defense die with Surge. He has Surge to crit, and he has a better gun than that of Veers, but only at range 1 to 2, with red, black, white instead of 3 white dice, and the same Pierce 1. His close combat is slightly worse, though you are not playing him to get into close combat. He has Compel, which is very strong. After another friendly unit at range 1 to 2 rallies, if it is suppressed but not panicked, it may gain 1 suppression token to perform a free move action. This is a really, really strong ability. It's probably the best reason to take Krennic right now. In terms of his actual capabilities, he's not all that good at fighting. He's good but not great. He's good but not great. But Compel is very strong. It's pretty frequent that units can get suppressed in this game, and having Compel means that you can essentially take 2 actions with a suppressed unit as long as the first one is a move, which is something that is quite frequently the right move to make. He also has Cunning. When your commander-specific command cards are played, if there would be a tie for priority, treat your command card as though it had 1 fewer pip. This basically just means that you can go before your opponent in some situations where you would otherwise have to roll off. A kind of a niche ability, but quite useful in certain circumstances. For instance, if your opponent's not playing Han Solo, you know that Krennic's 1-pip command card is going to go first, no matter what they play. Because even if they play their 1-pip, your Cunning means that you go first instead of them. That can be important if you're in a situation where there's like a crucial activation that needs to go off. He also has Entourage Imperial Death Troopers. This means that he can pass a free order token to a unit of Death Troopers at range 1 to 2 when you're giving out orders. Basically just makes your activation control a little bit better and synergizes with their Disciplined ability. And then lastly, he has Sharpshooter 1, allowing him to ignore 1 point of cover, which is basically just a little bit of a buff in terms of his ability to shoot that pistol. Okay, so that's Krennic. Krennic has Esteemed Leader, which it means that while you're being attacked, trooper units around you gain Guardian 1, which allows them to take a hit for you. So basically, if Krennic is advancing next to some troopers and he takes a bunch of shots, you can switch them over to those troopers instead. This is especially good on Krennic because troopers actually have better saves than he does, with him having a white defense die with Surge, saving 1 in 3, and them usually having a red defense die in the Empire, which will save 1 in 2. So, Esteemed Leader allows you to do a little better on defense, prevents them from focusing down Krennic. We then see the same Imperial Death Troopers. I discussed these earlier. Stormtroopers, but better guns, better defense, better morale. And we have the same configuration here with the E11D grenade launcher configuration and the DLT-19D Trooper. This seems like a popular loadout. There's 2 units with that same loadout, just as in the other army, so we're going to have kind of a Death Trooper showdown here, with each side fielding 2 units of Death Troopers. Now, we then see another unit of Stormtroopers. This one is equipped both with the DLT-19 heavy weapon, which is 2 red dice at range 1 to 4 and impact 1. Very, very strong upgrade. And also a medical droid. So medical droids I think we're seeing here because medical droids work very well with Death Troopers. Basically what this does is it can either heal a wound token or restore a miniature that was killed this turn. Restoring a miniature that was killed this turn is especially valuable with Death Troopers because they're so expensive. I believe each of those Death Trooper units costs, I forget what the exact number is, but it's over 100 points. So a medical droid that costs 19, if it's picking up a Death Trooper that costs 20, averaged across his unit, has already made its points back, and he can do that twice. So we're commonly seeing medics being fielded in these Death Trooper lists to try to make up for the Death Trooper's vulnerability to Pierce. We then see 3 more squads of Stormtroopers. These are just the basic Stormtroopers, no Snow Troopers in this list. And they are also equipped with the DLT-19 heavy weapon. Get those extra wounds in there. And the impact added by this weapon is not going to be relevant since there is no armor on the other side of the board. But the list is then topped off with 2 Scout Trooper strike teams. This is a classic unit. These are the infamous sniper teams that are being very widely fielded right now and generally one of the stronger elements in competitive play. Each one has 2 courage, 2 models with 1 wound, white die with surge, no attack surge. They have the same pistol used by the Royal Guard with 2 black dice at range 1 to 2, but that's not what you're taking them for. They have Scout 1, they have Sharpshooter 1, they have low profile, which means if you have light cover, it gets improved to heavy cover if the enemy's shooting at you. But more relevantly, heavy weapon team, you must equip a heavy weapon upgrade card. The miniature added by that card is your unit leader. Both of these have taken the DLT-19X Sniper, a powerful upgrade card that gives you 2 black dice at range 1 to infinity, so the sniper can pick off enemies on the other side of the table. And the thing that makes these snipers really effective is they have high velocity, allowing them to ignore dodge tokens, and they have Pierce 1. So when you combine that with the Sharpshooter 1 that these teams have by default, you end up with a unit that if it gets 2 hits or gets a crit, can reliably pick off a model from across the board. That's a very strong ability to have, and I think we're going to see that in play here. The interesting thing is that Ronoc has opted to take Imperial Royal Guards, which are going to mitigate the extent to which these snipers can go after the Death Troopers, since the Royal Guards can use Guardian to pull the wounds onto them instead. Normally the snipers would definitely want to be trying to pick off those Death Troopers, as the Death Troopers are very valuable and rely on their good defenses, which can be ignored via Pierce. But the Royal Guard may act as a shield there. So we're seeing 2 very different types of lists. Ronoc with a somewhat more elite list, he has more points invested in his special units with the... So he has not only the 2 Death Trooper squads, which are shared on the both lists, but then he also has the elite Royal Guards to pull wounds onto the away from those Death Troopers, and Bosk to provide him with some more offense. Whereas on over here with Asyer, he does not have the Royal Guard, he does not have Bosk, and he has significantly fewer medics, but in exchange, he has added the sniper teams, he's added Krennic, and his basic squads do feature the heavy weapons that have been omitted from some of Ronoc's squads. So Ronoc has more elite forces, Asyer has 1 more activation, and his basic troopers are a little better. Let's see which approach ends up being successful in this game. So we're seeing the players continuing to set up here as I did that list overview. Let's spin the camera over here and take a quick look at the objective overlay and conditions. So I don't know how easily you guys can read these. I will highlight them. Objective is intercept the transmissions. So that is place 1 objective token on the center of the battlefield, then place 1 halfway between the center and left short edge, then place 1 halfway between the center and right short edge. At the end of rounds 2 and 4, each player gains 1 victory token for each objective token they control. At the end of the game, each player gains 2 victory tokens for each objective token they control. A player controls an objective token if they have more trooper unit leaders at range 1 of that token than any other player. This is a strong upgrade. This is a strong command card for armies that like to be aggressive and move in quickly, because you're going to be scoring on turn 2, turn 4, and turn 6 instead of just at the end of the game. And therefore, if you can push up and attack before your opponent gets ready, you're going to be able to score points before your opponent does. So intercept the transmissions is a good command card there for armies that like to be aggressive, which, you know, some do and some don't. It's going to kind of depend on what exactly we see here. score points before your opponent does.
Oops, sorry.
So intercept the transmissions is a good.
I started broadcasting my own stream audio by mistake. Sorry about that, guys. That was what we call a misclick on my phone here. Okay, so that's intercept the transmissions. It's going to reward early aggression, and I think that maybe that's going to be good with the Royal Guards and so on. That army's a little bit more aggressive and may be able to profit from that, but we'll have to see. Now we're going to look to the next one. We have advanced positions here. During the deploy unit step, each trooper unit gains Scout 1. After you deploy, you may perform a Speed 1 move and loses stationary. And then it's a giant L in terms of deployment shape, which is a little interesting. The giant L there means that sometimes you can have some interesting flanking opportunities that people might not realize if you deploy far up on the short edge in a scenario where they didn't expect that. So that's kind of a cool little trick that can come up sometimes. Then conditions, hostile environment. Trooper units whose unit leader is not in base contact with a piece of terrain cannot remove suppression tokens during the end phase. And there's going to be a lot of suppression going out during this game, I feel, from those death troopers. The other side of their gun, the long range gun, has suppressive, so I do think that it's possible this hostile environment will play a big role. However, we also see some nice suppression control options with the disciplined on those elite squads, with the Inspire on Veers, and with when all else fails, Krennic has Compel. So let's take a look at the deployment, which is still going on. We are seeing, unfortunately, they have opted to put their units in rainbow colors, which is a little more legible, but in my opinion looks bad. I prefer not to tint all my units, but that's just like my opinion, man. So we're seeing the two sniper teams have taken this far flank position. So one thing they could do is potentially clamber up here, get good line of sight. Another thing they could do is kind of peek out this side, shoot at the back, or peek out here, shoot over there. I actually don't think this position is all that good. If you move out here, you get some line of sight, but not a lot, and once these guys move up, they'll be screened from that building. If you move up to this side, if guys move up, they'll be over there, but it's still not an entirely safe spot in terms of like having reliable line of sight. I think I might have... I don't know though. It's kind of tough, They have to be worried about the long range guns from those death troopers. If not for that, I would probably want to deploy them over by this this building here, kind of in the center of the screen. I would want to kind of have them peeking out this way to get shots through this stuff at the death troopers. This forest is only light cover, so they could ignore it, get out of cover shots there for high value. But they would be themselves at risk of being hit by those long range shots from the death troopers moving up, which might just be not worth it. He may be hoping that he can pick at the enemy from over there instead, though I have to say I'm a little worried about those snipers getting good line of sight. This forest is actually a heavy cover, but it slows you down, so we're seeing him opting for better protection, but worse movement with a lot of guys here. I don't know what's going on here. These are snow troopers. I don't know why there's one model way up here. That seems strange to me. It's going to make them easier to shoot at. I don't really understand that, but that's okay. And then otherwise, it looks like these troopers are avoiding being in the woods to get some better movement angles. We have a medic here with next to the death troopers, which makes sense. The medics are probably best used on death troopers or on heavy. If you get the chance to revive a heavy weapon, yeah, go for it. If you get a chance to heal someone who's going to be taken down for the bounty, yeah, go for it. But otherwise, the medics will probably be best spent on death troopers. And, okay, so we're seeing, looks like the Royal Guards, Veers, and Bosk have yet to deploy over there. Veers is now being deployed kind of in that main body. On the other side, we have the two characters and the last Death Trooper squad. Okay, so over here, looking from this side of the table, we see a big blob here. I suspect that the plan, one of the key positions is central. I suspect the plan will be to have these guys move in and attack the center. And one interesting thing is there isn't a unit over here. I might have been tempted to put like a basic squad over here and have them run up for that objective. Looks like on the other side of the board we have this trooper squad without a medic, which is probably going to just run up and hang out in those woods and claim that objective. Now, an interesting thing is that with these L-shaped deployments, which is... with the L-shaped deployments of major offensive and advanced positions, each side has kind of a home objective where their short edge is closer to it, as well as on Long March. which means that it ends up being a big fight over the center objective usually. In Disarray, that's less the case. Disarray is sort of crazy on this one. And on battle lines, it is less the case, because in battle lines, you can go for any of them. Though in practice, it's usually a good tactic to say, I'm only going to focus on 2 of the 3 objectives. I'm going to let my opponent have one of them. Anything he sends to that objective is going to be wasted, and I'm going to kind of concentrate my forces to contest the other 2. If you can get stuff like that, usually what ends up happening is there's a big showdown in the center, and each side has like 1 or 2 units holding their own side objective. So this objective usually ends up with big showdowns in the center of the board. It's not always the case, but that does tend to be what happens in my experience. Okay, so looks like they're getting close to the start of the game here with more units deploying. They have, let's see here. They have yet to deploy. We have a Royal Guard and Bossk on one side and the 2 characters on the other. This deployment unfortunately does add a fair bit of time to the game, which I consider pretty annoying because you have to measure out a bunch of Speed 1 scout moves. This is the deployment type that grants a Speed 1 scout move to all trooper units, which can definitely add some time to the game just because all those units that you're deploying are moving up a little bit. One tip for people playing this mode, in order to play faster, I recommend after you've done a few scout moves, there's a certain point at which you don't really have to use the template because you can just eyeball it and be like, okay, this guy is going to be further back than this guy. So this unit to my left moved the maximum distance forward. The unit to its right did not. The unit to its right can move up, and I don't have to measure it as long as they're not moving as far forward as these other guys did. And if you do stuff like that, it saves time and lets you get started a little bit faster. That tip can apply both on Tabletop Simulator and on in-person play. And I'm hoping they're going to turn off this grid and turn off these lines because they look really bad. But they're still needed for the deployment. Not sure what they're discussing right now. It looks like it's just there's Bossk over here. I'm not sure that's his final placement. And it looks like we just have the Royal Guards on the other side of the field. Maybe doing some measurements here. Bossk is not out yet, but he has definitely impressed people already. We've seen him being played in some of these early games. It's too early to tell what his total impact will be on the meta, but thus far people have been impressed by his ability to do good damage while staying at a long distance. The bounty ability requires that your bounty hunter deal the final blow to their character. But critically, it also requires that your bounty hunter stay alive. And Boba Fett tends to be shorter ranged. Boba is kind of going for range 2 often so that he can use both his carbine and his wrist rocket. And the fact that you end up at a shorter range with Boba does often end up meaning that he is vulnerable to being killed himself and not giving out that bounty token. So as a result of that, or rather you get the bounty token but then you can't claim it because you've died even if you do kill their character. Because Bossk has such a long-range attack, he's actually a little bit safer. When he's going to pick off the enemy character, because if he goes out, he has the opportunity to kind of duck back behind cover from far away instead of being closer up and therefore more vulnerable to follow up from other enemy units that might want revenge. So it looks like he's decided to deploy Bossk on the cliff there instead of on the ground level. This is going to be a pretty strong deployment, I feel. Bossk has range 4 in his gun. Looking up here, this is really a commanding position. He can shoot at a large number of things from up here on this cliff. And he'll be able to cover the center objective pretty easily. I think it's likely that we're going to see Bossk's Lying in Wait card, which gives you 1 aim token after every enemy unit takes an action. Charging up that Lying in Wait card by just getting a bunch of aims and activating Bossk late in the turn is a great strategy. We've actually seen it before. He's been able to use that to get 5 crits with his ranged attack, just rerolling anything that isn't a crit, because he does have the surge to crit, and you might well end up with like 10 aim tokens. You can just reroll until you get 5 crits and then potentially deal a huge blow to the enemy. It's especially strong against rebel units that have worse saves, because those crits are going to go through cover and they are going to go through dodge. Very strong ability from Bosk, and we'll have to see if that's what he goes for. So there's Bosk, moved up into a nice little sniper post there, overlooking the battlefield. He is going to have great line of sight to all of the enemy units there and be covering that center objective quite efficiently. We'll see whether or not the other side of things is going to be able to get him. Now, I don't know why they're starting on the grenade launcher configuration for these Death Troopers. I suspect it's a mistake. I think it's almost certainly correct to start on the long-range configuration instead. It may be on purpose, but I'm going to send a quick message just to verify that once these guys are set up. Now, we're also going to see some Imperial Royal Guard deploying here. This is, I believe, the last unit. Krennic has deployed into those same woods as the rest of his men, and now the Imperial Royal Guards are being deployed in the south. Interestingly, not being deployed to protect the Death Troopers. I suspect that he may think, okay, my Death Troopers, I looked at where those snipers are. Those snipers aren't going to be able to hit my Death Troopers. We're going to use the Royal Guard as an assault squad instead. And we're seeing them take a Speed 2 scout move. The reason for this is that they have Recon Intel. I was mentioning this earlier. Recon Intel is a very strong upgrade, only 2 points to give you a Speed 1 scout move, and Scout stacks up. So when this scenario gives you a Speed 1 scout move, it stacks up with Recon Intel and bumps you up to Speed 2. So quite strong there, quite strong there. Okay, so we're seeing the deployment going on here. Still a little uncertain as to where exactly he's going. Looks like he's thinking about some different options. And let's see. Yeah, looks like they're going in. This unit, so this is a pretty aggressive deployment for the Royal Guards. They might be vulnerable to a lot of shooting here, but I think he wants to get them into assault quickly, which might prove, it might prove impactful, but personally I would prefer to play the Royal Guards a little more conservatively. Maybe they're going to try to use that black rock in the center for cover. Get up and hide behind that, be contesting the middle and available to run out and punch enemies that get too close, but I have to say I think that deploying this aggressively, those Royal Guards might get focused on. By shooting over here from Asyer's side of the board. As we can see, people can't quite see the guards here, but if they shift over just a little bit, they'll be in position to take some shots. However, we'll have to see how that goes. So very aggressive deployment with the Royal Guard instead of using them to defend the Death Troopers. Normally I would say that would be quite bad, but under the circumstances where it seems like the snipers are maybe a bit out of position, it seems like it could be appropriate. Okay. I think deployment has concluded for Ronoc. It looks like it's concluded for Asyer as well, with Veers joining Krennic in these woods. Veers doesn't have very good line of sight for his bombardment, though I suppose he could bombard Bosk or some of the Death Troopers over there. Often coordinated bombardment is used to start off the festivities. Let's quickly take a look at the command cards that are going to be played here on the first turn. So just looking from the overhead view, as we can see, this side area, the left and right side, are basically not being used except for these snipers over there. Most of the forces are gathered pretty centrally, and I think we're going to see a few units move over to take the side. One interesting option for those Royal Guards would be he could run them over to what's the right side right now, their left side, and try to contest the home objective from those pink troopers. Royal Guard should be more than sufficient to beat a normal trooper squad one-on-one, and they might force some units to redirect. However, that would involve moving out into the open and potentially getting shot at quite a bit. Here come the command cards. We're moving into turn 1. Here come the command cards. Okay. We see deploy the garrison. At the start of the activation phase, choose up to 2 friendly trooper units that have face-up order tokens. Each chosen unit may perform a free standby action. And on the other side of things, Reptilian Rampage. During boss activation, he can perform up to 2 attack actions and may suffer a wound to perform a free move action. So I think what we're going to see here from Bosk is he will probably take a wound to move up into range and then take 2 quick shots. That could be a strong opening, but it's a little aggressive. Actually, both of these command cards are kind of strange. I'm not sure that I like Deploy the Garrison here, and I'm not sure that I like Reptilian Rampage from Bosk. Deploy the Garrison gives out free standby tokens, but more relevantly, when the Death Troopers stand by, they get a free aim from their Ready ability. So this will give free aims on those Death Troopers, and I am going to check in to see whether or not the settings on those weapons are correct. Let's see here. Okay, so he's changing it now. His Death Troopers are going to start with the focused fire config, which I think is a better option. So the focused fire config is range 1 to 4, 1 black die, exhaust, with suppressive rather than the grenade launcher, which is better up close. And it looks like we're seeing that on the other side of the board as well, both sets of Death Troopers. So technically they've done this wrong. I'm not going to object to that. I think both players did the same thing. Technically speaking, I believe it is when you deploy, you configure that. Oh, and then who is the bounty on? Just asking them a few questions to try to get some clarity there. It looks like the bounty is going to be on our man Krennic. Grand Admiral Thrawn suggests a maximum firepower into Bosk. Now, one interesting thing is that if Bosk does move up to take those early shots, he might make himself vulnerable to shooting. So we could see some shooting coming back into Bosk, especially from the ranged 4 weapons on those Death Troopers, and then next turn start with maximum firepower and try to finish him off. That would be an interesting move, and could do some major damage. So we are going to see the guys down here starting things off. They have a 2-pip command card instead of a 3-pip command card. Looks like Veers may be beginning the proceedings, handing out some aim tokens maybe. Yeah, Veers handing some aim tokens. Not sure who he's handing them to. Looks like it's going to be the blue stormtroopers maybe who are picked up by mistake here. They're kind of fixing some deployment stuff here. There are the 2 aims being picked up. Really quite a blob of Imperial troops here. One is being given to the pink troopers, and one is being given... I think that's going to be the blue troopers. Yep, the blue troopers. So Veer's using his spotter to hand out some aims, and then he's going to... Maybe he'll move up, maybe he'll dodge. Not sure he's in a great position here. Looks like he's measuring probably to see how many moves it would take Veers to get in there and contest the center objective. It looks like Veers is going to go for a standby. Does seem that's what he's going for. He's rethinking it. So I think he's gotten a little spooked by these Royal Guard being so close, and he's done this thing, giving out those standby tokens. Oh, we have a crash here. I'm hoping that the overall game... I'm hoping the overall servers have not died just as we're getting started. Hopefully no one panned the camera into the Warhammer 40,000 building. There's an infamous bug on that map where if you move your camera into the Warhammer 40k bunker that's in that cliff, it will actually cause the game to crash. So, hopefully that's not what just happened. But I'm afraid I don't see the game. A lot of people playing Legion today, but that one seems to have crashed. I'm going to jump on Discord and see what is going on with these guys. Meanwhile, we're going to be hanging out here refreshing the server browser and hoping we are coming back up. But not seeing either Asyer or Ronoc here. Though the servers, the one good thing that I've noticed here is that it does seem that the servers are still up. The Steam servers have not died. And that does give me more hope for the continuation of this game than with the previous one, where the browser just stopped working completely. It's very strange that panning the camera into that zone causes the whole thing to crash, but that is the way it goes. Sorry for the interruption to this game. We are going to be hopefully coming back soon. Just sending some quick Discord messages to see what's going on. Okay, it sounds like they are trying to get it back up. The hosted game perhaps was dropped. Hopefully, Tabletop Simulator's autosave can kick in this situation. While we're waiting for that, does anyone on the chat have any questions or thoughts? Garn asks, when did you get partnered with Twitch? I am not actually partnered with Twitch. I am whatever the level below partner is, like affiliate, I think. And it actually happened quite some time ago, I think as a result of several L5R broadcasts that I was doing. If you have a Twitch account, the way that you get to affiliate and partner is actually very straightforward. There's no like backroom negotiations or anything. It's you have to hit certain benchmarks. The main thing that is preventing me from reaching like partner level on Twitch is just the number of concurrent viewers on these games is not super high. I'm not sure that it will be. These are kind of niche titles. These are not like the things that are most popular for streaming, but I'm mostly doing this for fun anyway, so I'm not so worried about that. Arceus Storm asks, what do you think a good counter against Death Troopers is? The best counter against Death Troopers is Pierce. Death Troopers have great saves, but they only have 1 wound each, and they don't have Impervious, they don't have Immune to Pierce, they don't have any special protection against that. So units with Pierce are great against that, because against Pierce it doesn't matter how good someone's save is a lot of the time, especially if you're doing low damage per attack. One of the things that's most annoying to Death Troopers is snipers. A sniper can pick off a Death Trooper just as easily as it can pick off a Rebel Trooper, and that means that a lot of the defense of that Death Trooper is being wasted. I think another good counter to Death Troopers is strong melee units. So, especially ones with Pierce, Luke can really slice up Death Troopers. Wookiees are also pretty dangerous to them. Death Troopers are better in melee than normal units, but they're not as much better as they are on the range side of things. The main strengths of Death Troopers is they can put together very strong dice pools even at range 4, which is pretty good. A Death Trooper squad shooting at range 4 can do 2 red, 1 white, and 4 black dice with suppressive. That's quite a strong attack. and at close range, if they get to range 1 to 2 and have that grenade launcher side of their card up, they can actually ignore cover and throw a crazy number of red dice. So on offense, the Death Troopers are great. On defense, they're quite strong, but they're vulnerable to Pierce. One other thing that I'll say is the Death Troopers are probably a little better against Rebels than Imperials because they have that big dice pool that can push attacks through, even through cover and so on, and will force the target to roll their saves. So you want to be doing that. That's best against armies that don't have as good saves, kind of obviously speaking. So that's a pretty useful thing to do. I'm hearing from the guys here. I'm chatting with them on Discord. They're saying they're rehosting the game. Let's see whether it is up yet. Yeah, there we go. Sorry guys, I'm going to reveal the secret password. Or maybe I'm not. I think I might have misremembered it. Nope, just kidding. Alright, we're joining in. It looks like the autosave worked out. Yep, autosave worked out. There we have it. The aim tokens and standby tokens are still there. We're just waiting for Asyer to connect to the game. While we wait for that, any further questions at this time? I can answer stuff about, other meta things. One thing that I'm surprised about is I haven't seen any tanks yet. I think the tank is actually pretty cool. I'm surprised that people are gravitating more towards the Death Troopers and Bosk and stuff like that as far as unreleased things go because the tank is pretty sweet. Grand Admiral Thrawn asks, is Leia and Sabine suitable? Yeah, I think Leia and Sabine is pretty decent. Leia-Sabine combination is a useful tool because what you can do with that is you can have... it's kind of similar to Luke Leia. Alright, Asyer is connecting now, so hopefully we will soon get things set up. Anyway, Luke Sabine and Leia Sabine. Luke Sabine is very different. Leia Sabine is basically a different version of Luke Leia. I have to say I think Luke is better than Sabine, so I think Leia Sabine is going to be a little bit worse, but Sabine does have some advantages that Luke doesn't. Her shooting is stronger, and her command card that does the area effect damage can be very annoying. So she does have some things that Luke doesn't have, but overall, if I'm only taking one big melee fighting guy, I would prefer that it be Luke, simply because Luke has the ability to use force push, and Luke has charge, which is a very good action economy. So I think I like Leia Luke more than I like Leia Sabine, but I think Leia Sabine definitely has potential. With respect to Luke Sabine, I think that's a very aggressive list. I think it'll be interesting to test that and see how it works out. Leia has an important role in the normal Luke Leia lists. Luke Sabine is a lot more aggressive and might have some issues with suppression management. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see how things pan out. Garnanana asks, how do you feel about fleet troopers? How are they made most effective? And is then accused of trolling by Star Wars Legion Command. I think Legion Command is referring to my well-known disdain for fleet troopers in my own armies. So the fleet trooper has 2 white dice on offense at range 1 to 2, which is the most of any basic unit. The downside of the fleet trooper is that it is only range 1 to 2. Additionally, their keyword is not effective. Their keyword gives them a free aim when they stand by. In general, standby tokens are not considered very strong right now. There's only relatively niche applications where they're useful. As a result of that, so if you do the math on fleet troopers, you can do the equation or whatever, and they have extremely favorable numbers. They have extremely favorable numbers when they're doing their what's it called? Just attacking normal units. They have a Pierce heavy weapon, which is very strong, and in theory, in the equations, they are really good. They are in theory, fleet troopers are the most efficient shooting unit in the game, I believe, and that means a lot. But the problem is range 1 to 2, and range 1 to 2 has been such an obstacle for them. I might just be bad at using them, but I've had bad results almost all the time that I've played them. Now, I think the key is getting them in. So I think that in order to get them in, there's various things that you could do. One thing that you could do is take strict orders and give them activations. Another thing you could do is use the officer upgrade to give them courage too. But for me, they have trouble getting in. They often get suppressed. In general, I would rather have Rebel Troopers. In one of my games at Worlds, I ran up against an opponent who was also running Luke Leia and had a unit of Fleet Troopers and a unit of Pathfinders. The Pathfinders were kind of okay. They had weak rolls, but they didn't do terrible. But the Fleet Troopers just sort of got picked off without much happening, just because that's often what happens in a shootout between range 3 units and range 2 units. Now, this is a really strong beginning here for Asyer. We're seeing his Bosk fire. Bosk's first shot is on the red Death Troopers, and he gets 3 crits because he has Surge to crit. Lucky roll. On defense, they only roll 1 save. Pierce is going to pierce the 1 successful save. So that's actually 3 Death Troopers down from 1 shot with Bosk. And because of Bosk's command card, he actually gets to take a second attack action here if he wants. So he can do another shot potentially on the same unit of Death Troopers, and he might finish them off. That's really dangerous. If Bosk actually starts the game by picking off a unit of Death Troopers, so he's flipping over the models so that a medic can be used on them in the future if they survive. But if I were Asyer, I would fire the second shot into that same unit. If you wipe them out completely, no medic can be used. This is potentially really bad for Ronoc if these Death Troopers in fact get picked off by Bosk. That's a lot of points to lose so early in the game. Do you think AT-RT and Flamethrower is a good counter against these spams of Guardians and Death Troopers? No, I think that AT-RTs die too easily to the amount of impact in Imperial lists. Okay, so this time it looks like Bosk is only going to get 1 crit against those Death Troopers. That is going to kill another guy, leaving the Death Troopers at only 1 model left. That is brutal. It shouldn't even be a save here. It has Pierce. There's no point in rolling it. They roll it anyway. They do succeed, but it doesn't matter because of Pierce. So that's going to be another model killed. Leaving... It has... What? Did they forget Pierce? Did he not use... Okay, no, there we go. Yeah, he's going to flip that guy. Okay, so yeah, these Death Troopers taking very heavy losses, shot down to just 1 model by some lucky rolls from Bosk. Now, there is a medic standing right next to them, and we are going to see that medic bring back the heavy weapon in all likelihood. But that's really not the way that Ronoc wants to start off this game. And I think we're seeing here one of the advantages of Bosk. Bosk has kind of disproportionate firepower for his cost. You know, his defense is not that great, but very few weapons have this sort of good firepower at range 4 in particular. And now we are seeing Bosk take a wound to do a free movement, which is going to be used to bring him over to the side and put him in a less exposed position. So that's a solid use of Bosk's command card, and then at the end of his activation, we are going to actually see regeneration potentially used here to remove the wound that he just suffered. Some weird stuff going on with that movement template. Kind of some glitches with the terrain in all likelihood. Okay, so yeah, he's moved off that top area, and now it's going to be a lot harder to shoot at him, and he'll very likely have cover from this barricade or the big tree or similar. So Bosk kind of doing a hit-and-run play here, doing some major damage to those Death Troopers, then going off the field. If he had managed to kill the entire squad, that would be a giant blow, because honestly, that squad of Death Troopers costs more than Bosk does. So we're seeing Bosk's offense, combined with some lucky rolls, to be sure, but we're seeing Bosk's offensive capabilities really shining there, and it's especially dangerous because Bosk does do all this at range 4. Scary beginning there, heavy losses. I would probably draw from the stack here and hope to draw a core unit, at which point I could use the yellow medics to restore the dead DLT from that Death Trooper unit. That is what he does. We are seeing the yellow squad being used. And with only 1 medic, you know, those Death Troopers have still taken 3 losses. The DLT will be returned to the squad. Yep, there he is, DLT-19D Trooper, returned to the squad. But the rest of the models are off the field since that's the only medic. So 3 Death Troopers lost from that initial volley from Bosk. Very tough situation for Asyer. So Medic Droid has been used for the first time here. We're seeing a wound go on the Medic Droid card. So this can be used twice per game, and you put a wound token on the card to signify that it has been used. And now that it has been used, we are going to see a move, probably, maybe a move and shoot here from this unit. They're checking some ranges. They can easily shoot. They might just immediately shoot. They can easily shoot at the. They're out of cover. They're not really in a great spot in terms of line of sight. They could move over here and then fire at the Royal Guards or the Snowtroopers, though they do risk getting too close and getting charged. They might just aim and shoot, but their line of sight, I don't know. I don't think they have very good line of sight. I guess they can basically all see the staff from that one Royal Guard, so they can aim and shoot and hope to kill the one Royal Guard, or I just don't think they have good line of sight for shooting at these snowtroopers. I think they can only really see one model. I guess these guys back here can see part of that guy's base, so maybe they're hoping to get 2 kills, but I don't know. I don't consider that great, but I think they are worried about those Royal Guard and therefore not going to advance too much. So even though those Royal Guard are deployed very aggressively, they might be successfully pushing back Asyer's forces. So here comes the roll. Looks like an aim and shoot, 4 white dice and 2 red dice because the medical droid does not have a gun. Going to pick up 2 hits, a little bit below average there, but they do have 3 rerolls with an aim thanks to precise. So let's see what happens with that. Nothing. Ouch. So with heavy cover, that's going to be no effect, just a suppression token dealt to those snowtroopers. Unfortunate roll there. Unfortunate roll there. That is the way it goes sometimes, though. So normal stormtrooper is not really known for their accuracy. Aim does help, but it does not necessarily help enough. Now what are we seeing here? Looks like a Special Forces token is drawn, so this could be some of the Death Troopers over there, or it could be the Royal Guards. Royal Guards being activated, I don't know that that's correct. I think he wants to preserve the threat of this unit, but looks like they're going to move up into, as I was forecasting earlier, looks like they're moving up into that rock formation to kind of get more hidden and represent a big threat to the center of the board. The thing that I don't like about activating them this early is it does mean enemy units can potentially maneuver to shoot them without fear of being charged. However, the main unit that could have shot them, those yellow guys, already activated in order to heal the Death Troopers, so it may not be as much of a concern as it would be otherwise. As he finishes this move, I am going to step across the room really fast to grab a water bottle. My apologies if there are strange noises involved in me moving my stuff. Alright guys, the water bottle has been obtained. We are back in business. Okay. And they still haven't finished this move. Probably just trying to get those guys as densely packed as possible. Get them into the cover of the rock. As we can see here, you know, some guys might still be able to see them. Looks like they're going even further back. This is the Electro Staff, who's actually the least important model. Yeah, so right now the yellow guys can't really see them. The guys on the left can, I guess, see part of this guy's base, but the row on the right can't. And all this stuff is not able to see those guys. They will have to maneuver to the left and get closer to the main shooting element of Ronoc's army in order to attack those Royal Guard. And based on these early moves, I have to say Ronoc is well ahead right now. Guard, yeah, I would use the medic because it restores a Death Trooper DLT, which is really quite strong. I think that's a useful thing to have. It's a tough situation. It's not great, but I don't think he's going to have a better target for the medic. And I think you typically want to use the medics early in case the squad dies. Yeah, so we're actually now seeing a standby token here, which is quite prudent. If a unit So if a unit like moves over here to try to shoot them, they're going to get the first shot with their Royal Guard pistols, even though this model hiding in the cave is unlikely to be able to shoot. I like how this is the model that has his staff raised in 2 hands. It kind of looks here like he's, you know, hiding and getting ready to zap somebody with the staff as he walks around the corner. Now let's see here. Okay, those guys there with a standby, drawing from the stat, getting another trooper unit. The pink troopers over here who have an aim token are going to advance. I think they can probably move up and shoot at the snow troopers with an aim, or maybe even shoot at the brown stormtrooper unit in that thing. So this unit is going to both be moving to exert pressure on this objective while also potentially doing an attack. Thanks to Veers' spotter, they will have an aim with which to do it, and these woods are not difficult terrain, though they do only provide light cover. As predicted, in range, not quite in range for range 3 on those guys, but in range for range 3 on the snow troopers. And it does look like he can't quite, oh, it's close. I don't think he's quite far enough to deny them cover. I think they're still going to have cover, but, you know, we'll see. Looks like he's maybe thinking about a different positioning. Maybe he's trying to get in range of the brown unit. It looks like he is. Yeah, he's trying to move a little bit closer to the enemy in order to get range to the guys up there. As if he can shoot them, they will only have light cover, and they will put another suppression on a unit that hasn't activated yet. So he's kind of thinking about positioning, maneuvering a little bit, kind of getting closer, seeing if he's going to get to range 3 on that unit. He does get it, barely in range 3 of that brown unit, and I think that is a better shot at this point. So he'll be able to take a shot with 3 white dice, 2 red dice, and 3 rerolls. Pretty strong attack. General Veers paying off there with the spotter, and we'll see what that attack does. Probably against the brown unit, though I suppose it's possible to go for the snows instead. Furthermore, this unit is now in position to score the transmitter on the right side that's just outside those woods. So in later turns, these guys are going to be putting pressure on the objective. This is really a good spot, and I could see this unit just staying here and aiming and shooting every turn as long as they still have targets to do so. Okay, let's see how this attack does. I'm wondering now, you know, is it going to be the snows? Is it going to be the brown unit? I would shoot the brown unit probably. The snows are a little scarier, but the brown unit has worse cover and hasn't activated. He's changing his positioning and putting his DLT forward. I'm not sure I like that, but it might be reflective of like a split fire attack or reflective of trying to get line of sight to the snows. Sorry for the weird camera movement. I don't know. I think you can see the snows here also, so I'm not sure why he would put that guy that far up. It's usually not good to have your heavy weapon far forward because your opponent can terrain scope you. Terrain scope refers to a tactic where you restrict line of sight so you can only see the heavy weapon model. For instance, these guys could move to like here, only see that guy and shoot in order to pick off the heavy weapon. Oh, it looks like the DLT is up there so that he can see the base of this Royal Guard and split fire onto him? I don't understand that. I don't think that's a strong move. Can these guys... Is there a gap in the rocks? Oh, there's a little gap there. There's some stuff that... No, it's just the DLT being fired at the Royal Guard. And they don't take a wound. I think this was a mistake. I think you want to combine your dice pool here. So he put his DLT at risk to shoot at a unit that's in heavy cover. Oh, you know what? There is one advantage. It knocks their standby off. So he has knocked the standby token off them, and then that means that other units can potentially attack them more aggressively. So then we're going to see the white dice from the squad being fired at the brown unit. Incorrectly does 5, fixes it back to 4. 4 white dice with 3 rerolls. 1 hit gets to reroll the other 3. The 1 hit's currently being saved by the light cover. So let's see if these can add to it. 3 hits come in, 1 saved by light cover, so that's going to be 2 saves for the brown troopers there. And they both fail. So good start from the pink troopers. You know, the DLT ended up knocking the standby off of the Royal Guard and giving them a suppression. And then the white dice give a suppression to the brown troopers and actually kill 2 of them as well. So we see Veers' aim token paying off there by generating those hits that get through the cover. And now there isn't standby waiting for them on the center. Now, one thing that I will say about this game in general is that standby tends to be weak, and we're seeing why exactly here. Because standby is removed if you take a suppression, it is easy to knock it off with various weapons. However, I do think there was a mistake in putting that DLT that far forward. I think it would have been better to put him kind of centrally over here and shoot at that guy's base through this little gap, because that would have prevented the possibility of the DLT getting terrain scoped, which I think we might well see as the game progresses. Okay, so that was an interesting maneuver there, and then we're going to see what happens next. Looks like a Death Trooper unit being activated here. They might have to check some ranges, but I think it's possible that they can move up and get a range 4 shot against the yellow troopers, the red Death Troopers, something else. Ooh, yeah, it's going to be close, but I think that they are close enough to the edge that if they move right for the enemy, they will be in range 4 to at least something. Let's see whether or not that is the plan. I actually quite like Ronoc008's army. I think he went a little overboard with the medics and so on, but I think that the 2 Death Troopers, 1 Royal Guard composition is actually pretty cool. It goes against the conventional wisdom a bit by not running any snipers, but it has 9 actions and each activation is pretty hard to remove. Like the least tough thing you have is, 5 wound squads with red defense dice, as opposed to a rebel army where there are often... or a rebel army, or even an imperial army where there might be, there might be scout troopers, there might be other things. And as we can see, these guys are indeed getting in range. It's possible they're actually going to be able to shoot those yellow guys with no cover, which would be pretty devastating. Yeah, it looks like they definitely have a no I think they have a no cover shot. I think they can see 4 guys entirely, including the base, without it being obscured, which means no cover. And with those powerful Death Trooper DLT and long-range shots, this could be very dangerous to those yellow troopers. So I do think we're going to see some heavy damage. Now, interestingly, he's moving these guys forward to get cover from behind the... he's moving these guys forward to get cover from behind this barricade. I'm not sure I agree with that, but we'll have to see whether or not it pays off. Normally, you want your guys behind your squad leader so that you can get cover from things... so you can get cover from things and not give your opponent free range. It looks like he is going to put his guys behind the barricade for cover. I would rather just put them kind of over here in this area instead, where they're still probably going to get cover and you don't give your opponent any extra range. However, let's see what happens next. Probably going to be an attack on the yellow troopers, I feel, but they could pick a different target. Fixing his positioning slightly. Okay, he's rearranging his positioning a bit here, and I do think we're going to see a shot using the range 4 weapons and the DLT. So that will be 4 black dice, 2 red dice, and a white die for 7 dice total. Pretty powerful, and if he has caught that unit in the open, that could be potentially a lot of damage, plus the double suppression from the basic guns. Let's see if that is indeed what we see, though. Another option would be to try to finish off the red Death Troopers before they do anything, focusing fire on them, but because they have heavy cover, I think I would rather shoot at the yellow squad, which I think he's caught out of cover. Nope, it's going to be the Death Troopers. He is... Okay, so yeah, everyone can see at least that guy. This guy can see that one. Okay, let's see if he can focus fire and get those Death Troopers off the field. They will also have 3 suppression, which means there's a good chance of them only getting 1 action. Alright, 4 black dice. 2 white dice, 4 black dice, 2 red dice, and a white die against the Death Troopers in cover. This does have surge to hit. This could be the end of that Death Trooper unit before they even do anything. That would be a hard blow for Asyer to take. Ooh, man, strong roll leading to 6 wounds. This is not looking good. On average, this unit will not die, but they are at risk of dying here. They have to take 4 saves. Let's see if they can do it. 4 saves for the Death Troopers. Off the field. The red Death Trooper squad is killed without ever getting a chance to attack, despite having a medic used on it. That is brutal. That is a substantial setback for Asyer here, and we are seeing the strength of these. We are seeing the strength of these long-range attacks. I honestly think the meta has changed a lot with these most recent releases. Until now, except for the ATST and I guess the 1.4 FD cannon, which is a little different because it can't move. Units did not generally have threatening damage at range 4. So the FD was threatening at range 4, and it was also efficient. The ATST was threatening at range 4. So the FD was threatening at range 4, and it was efficient, but it can't move. The ATST is threatening at range 4, and it can move quite quickly, but it's not efficient. But now we're seeing units like the Death Troopers, Bosk, and the Occupier tank, which can fire at range 4 and are efficient. And that's going, or at least somewhat efficient, which is going to make the game a good deal more lethal. A good deal more lethal indeed. Sorry if there are weird noises there, guys. I was just drinking some water. We're seeing the snipers, the sniper team clambering up here. I thought this building was height 2, but I guess maybe they're playing it as height 1. I don't know. Still not amazing line of sight, but they can't I guess they can see those Death Troopers, yeah. Okay, maybe they're playing that as height 1. For some reason I thought that was height 2, but I could be off base. And then firing at the orange guys. Let's just see. Okay, it says it's height 1. Okay, so I guess it's height 1, and they're going to fire at the Death Troopers. I guess it's a tall height 1, but maybe it's just at the edge. Fire at the Death Troopers, they get 1 hit and a surge. The Death Troopers do, I believe, have heavy cover, so that will just be a suppression on there rather than a kill. So we are seeing snipers kind of going for their primary target here, but it's not paying off. Suppression on those Death Troopers only. I have to say, it's been a very bad start for Asyer, losing one of his elite units to, and only having inflicted 2 losses on his opponent thus far. But let's see if he can come back as the game progresses. Core unit coming out here. Looks like maybe the Snow Trooper's being selected. They have 1 suppression. We'll see if they rally it. No rally. So just 1 action. Probably going to be a move and shoot, but I could see them retreating in this circumstance, honestly. Nope, looks like they're going in. I think Asyer is going to try to take advantage of his lead by playing aggressively. Now this is good in that, like, if he can basically draw the battle lines in a position. So this is sort of a concept that I have from the game Company of Heroes 2. I don't know if you guys have played that, but a common thing in that game is like the area where the main battles are occurring is quite relevant. And if you can get it in that game so that the main battles are occurring in an area that's like into your opponent's side, so that the territories being fought over are things that your opponent should already have, that's usually very good. And even if you're losing battles, if those battles are occurring in an area that's like progressed into your opponent's zone, this can mean that you're like winning the game even if you're like losing or only barely holding them off. So we could see an analogous situation here where if the battle lines are being drawn beyond this objective, what that could end up meaning is that Asyer will be in a position where even if he starts doing better, his guys might be disadvantaged compared to Ronoc, who could like have the center, have the default position, have him already having the center, and thus be scoring points even if he's losing on attrition. And right now he's winning on attrition, so playing aggressively and trying to kind of set up that battlefield in such a position is good. And it looks like Ronoc has seen the mistake made by Asyer, and he is going for that terrain scope on the DLT. Yeah, I don't think this guy can see anyone except the DLT. I don't think that guy... this guy can actually see one other model, so should maybe move a little bit to avoid seeing him. But we are going to go, it looks like, for the terrain scope. And the server disconnects yet again. Sorry about that, guys. Skyward9 says, I do feel like Star Wars Legion feels a lot like a spiritual board game adaptation of Company of Heroes at times. I think it's perhaps the focus on infantry squads who can carry heavy weapons as well as the way cover works. Yeah, I can see that. You know, Company of Heroes has some similar concepts. It has light cover and heavy cover. It has suppression, and if you take suppression, you get slightly harder to kill, but you get slowed down. It has Company of Heroes has pinning. Instead of running away, your guys just get pinned down and can't do anything if they take too much suppression. But yeah, there are definitely some similarities, and I've personally had a lot of fun with Company of Heroes. But yeah. All right, let's see what's going down here. Looks like the server's already back up again. Let's see if I can reconnect here. I'm back. Asyer is reconnecting as well. And he suspects... Oh, you know what? It's possible that when looking for line of sight, they accidentally panned the camera into this bunker. This thing here, which I am not going to get too close to, but this thing in the center of the screen here, labeled Small Cliff, is the infamous skull bunker, called that because there's skulls on the edges of it. It's from a Warhammer 40k terrain piece. If you pan the camera into the skull bunker, the game will crash. I believe that it's possible that happened while they were looking for line of sight to see if they had the terrain scope correct. I don't know why it's like that. It's actually very strange, but it is an annoying aspect of this game. I'm actually going to go send a message to Tyrion right now, telling him that the bunker crash is still present. Okay, so now we're seeing the shot. I do think they're probably going to go for the transcope shot, but maybe they won't. They might not see it, or they might be going for a different unit anyway. I think he could maybe get to the yellow unit out of cover. Not entirely sure. Looks like it will be the transcope shot. Trying to kill that DLT who maybe stuck his head out a little too far forward. Looks like only 4 guys are ruled as being able to see, which I think is accurate. But it's just going to be a suppression anyway. It shouldn't be a save. They have light cover. Okay, so just the suppression there, and... You know, it turned out okay there. That would have been a blow for Ronoc if he did get that DLT terrain scope, so it's perhaps fortunate for him, given the heavy losses that he's already taken, that it didn't pay off. But it is something that could have been avoided with a more careful placement there. So just a little thing to note. The other sniper is clambering up. Okay. Doesn't really look like he's touching the ladder. I think he has to move a little further over to avoid having to roll to fall down. But maybe they're ignoring that. His line of sight is not great. I guess he can still see maybe... Yeah, I think you can still see the heads of some Death Troopers over there, so they will have heavy cover. I think next turn, depending on where the Death Troopers go, he may need to move up to the parapet to get a better shot. He also did correctly keep the other guy down from that unit. I don't know why he brought the other Scout Trooper up. That renders them vulnerable to Veers' artillery, potentially killing both models. In both cases, he should probably leave one guy on the ground floor, but we'll see how this pans out. Shooting at the Death Troopers again needs to get either 2 hits or a crit, but either of those will kill a model without that strong Death Trooper save coming into play. Let's see if Asyer can get some revenge for his own fallen Death Troopers with this sniper shot. Nope, doesn't even give him a suppression. Complete miss. Okay, so next up. Looks like a medic unit here. Move up. Blue medic squad moving up to get onto that objective. Gonna be, I don't think they're really gonna do anything. That's cool. But yeah, just moving up, if that ironically, even if that sniper had picked off a Death Trooper, it would have almost no effect because that blue medic is standing right there to revive him. I do think the large number of medics in this list is going to make it difficult for lasting damage to go through on the Death Troopers. I think that's one of their strengths. This list is designed to basically keep those Death Troopers up and keep them firing and really doing a lot of damage to the opponent. Alright, moving up. Let's see here. I don't really know what he's doing or why this is taking so long. This seems like a pretty straightforward just move twice situation, but I guess he's trying to figure out his positioning. Okay, so we're seeing them finally completing the move, kind of an L-shaped deployment there. I guess trying to hide the medic. Ironically, that position does mean the medic could himself be terrain scoped by like a unit firing over like this from this position, but I'm not sure if that will pan out. In general, you want to keep any upgrade that you want to protect in the center of your unit. This is incorrect. These guys need to go at speed 1. Yep, there we go. He just hadn't changed it yet. So that's a move over here, and probably we're going to see an attack. I'm wondering who the target will be. It could perhaps be the orange Death Troopers trying to get more damage in on there. So looking from the squad leader, it looks like the squad leader can see one guy. The rest of these guys can see everybody else. They will have heavy cover, but this could be the opportunity to do some damage to those Death Troopers. They are at range 3. Alternatively, this could be a shot at the Snow Troopers or perhaps at the Royal Guards, but I think he would have advanced these guys further in order to do that. Okay, they are going for those guys. Not sure. I guess everyone can see. Okay. Yeah, and I guess this guy can see everybody. They do, I think, have heavy cover here. Oh no, just light cover. Just light cover. This edge will get 3 of them without them having the heavy cover. So let's see how this does. Oh, 5. Very strong. And they have an aim token from Veers. Let's see if they can make it 6. And only light cover, 5 saves being rolled, and 4 failures. Ouch. That is brutal. The Flame Trooper is going to be killed. Now, the advantage here is there is a medic waiting in that brown unit that could move up and heal the Flame Trooper, and I do think that would be a strong move. So perhaps Ronoc getting punished a bit for that aggressive play. Let's see what happens next. Yeah, and he's flipping that model over to show that it can potentially be healed by a medic. Okay. Okay, so now we're seeing Veers on the other side of things. Looks like Veers is giving out some aim tokens. 1 aim token to the teal Stormtrooper unit here, and 1 aim token to the purple Death Troopers. He's using Rally. He's using Inspire to clear the suppression from the orange guys, and then I'm not sure what will happen next. Looks like just a move backing up those guys. Fairly straightforward there. Fairly straightforward there. Simple move there from Veers, backing up the rest of the guys behind there and increasing the cover, increasing the number of units that he has that can cover the center. Despite having taken heavy losses on those snowtroopers, I do feel that Ronoc is ahead in terms of his overall positioning, just because he already has the center objective with 2 units there. It is a little unfortunate that he didn't draw a core unit. It would have been better to draw these brown guys and have them use their medic to heal the Flame Trooper, because without having done that, there is a risk that they will get picked off before the medic can be used there. So we'll have to see whether or not that does occur. Sorry if there are any weird noises, just adjusting my position a little bit here. Looks like Krennic is moving up. Krennic might... I don't think Krennic's going to be able to get range 2 to those snows. He might be able to get range 2 to see a base from a guard, but it looks like he's not quite going to be able to make it. If he weren't in that forest, I think he would be able to, but he doesn't quite have the movement to move out and take a shot, given that he is being reduced to speed 1. There's the move. I would personally move differently so that I get out of the woods and then can take a full speed move with my next action, but it's possible he wants to stay in for cover. Oh, but at this angle with his head leaning out, he can see the guy. However, he doesn't have range to him. And he doesn't have line of sight to that other guy's base. Not quite in. Yeah, not quite in. So it looks like Krennic has moved up here, but is not going to be necessarily in position to do a lot with his initial attack. In fact, I don't think he can even make the attack, so his next action might be a dodge, it might be another move. Not entirely sure what it is that's the highest priority at this phase, but I don't think it's going to be just hanging out there. Yeah, it looks like he moves a little less far because he can't get that shot and then takes a dodge. Okay, core unit over there. Let's see if they rally. No rally there. Probably just going to move up and use their medic to restore that flame trooper to life, I feel. Yep. So I think they're just gonna move up and heal that flamer, but yeah. Let's see. Yeah, moving up just a little bit to stay in the woods while still getting in medic range, and then he's going to revive that flame trooper. And let's see here. Yep, flame trooper being revived by the medic. And they only got one activation. Luckily, the medic is a free action, but I think that the next thing they do is just going to be end their turn, since they moved up to be able to use that flame trooper, that medic to revive the flame trooper, and they did it. So that's it for their turn. Okay, so it looks like these green troopers are going to move up. I think they could probably fire on the brown troopers up there, try to maybe pick off that medic before he gets a chance to use his ability for the second time. And looks like he's just barely in range 3 there. That is going to be a shot. They will have heavy cover since they have light cover plus suppression. But that could be enough to potentially pick off some models from that unit. And if he gets lucky enough to get 2 kills, that could be the medic droid removed from that squad. Let's see how this attack progresses. Looks like they're going to move a little differently. I don't think this is going to be in range. Maybe he's going to try to use forward cohesion to see the flame trooper. I don't know if he'll be able to get him if he does that. The pace of play here is a little slower than I prefer, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Does look like he's doing forward cohesion. Not sure if that's to try to get a shot at the flame trooper. I guess he can see part of that like hose and part of the edge of that guy. So yeah, I think he's trying. Yeah, he's trying to pick off the flame trooper with the old terrain scoping. Not sure how many of them can quite see him, but it does look like these guys on the edge at least can see the hoses and like backpack there. Let's see here. Yep, shooting there. I don't really understand what's happening here. It looks like the flame troop model has been flipped back over. Did it die? I don't think it died. I don't think they've rolled dice. Oh, I think they flipped it over to see whether or not they can see the other model. Okay. So now we're going to see an attack. Looks like it is going to be against those snowtroopers. Probably 3 white dice, 2 red dice, because I think the squad leader is unable to see. Kind of doing some unusual maneuvers here to try to pick at those guys around the line of sight blocking terrain. Let's see what happens next. Oh, one other thing that is relevant here is that the Royal Guard could use Guardian to take some of these hits. So, okay, looks like actually only 2 could see plus the DLT. And they get 1 crit in, so that save does have to be taken. Crits cannot have Guardian used against them. So the 1 crit does mean that it will have to be taken on the snowtroopers, which does mean that the the flame trooper might die here. 50-50 shot. Will he make it? He makes a save. So the terrain scoping attempt fails, and we will see. I guess it's not really terrain scoping because it's just that guy in the squad leader left, but it is just going to be a suppression for those flame troopers instead of for those snowtroopers instead of the flame trooper being knocked out. There is also another medic left in this teal squad. He could move the teal squad twice up here, maybe get in range, and maybe bring back another one of the standard snow troopers to keep that flame trooper more protected. I would honestly think that would be somewhat reasonable to do, but I guess being up here is not that good a position for those guys. Okay, what's going on now? Okay, purple guys moving up. They are in range. The purple death troopers have range to a lot of things, but probably those blue troopers will be their target. Might be able to even get them without cover, depending on if they can get 3 of those guys. Yeah, might even be able to get those blue guys without cover. So once again, the long-range capabilities of those death troopers are really going to be relevant here. I honestly do think that having strong firepower at range 4 could be a game changer. We will have to see how things develop overall in the meta, but I don't know. Like as a rebel player, I think in general, I think that having DLT potshots at range 4 with none of the other guys from the squad able to do the attack, that's like one thing, and usually not that effective. But having entire squads rolling big dice pools at range 4, that's something else. You know, that's a pretty strong capability. So here come the purple guys. We are going to see that shot on the blue unit, it looks like, and let's see whether or not they can catch them out of cover. So first step for this is that you look from the model's eye view to see if they're obscured, and I think he has 3 guys that are maybe only obscured by this corner, but he'll have center to center on them, so I think he is going to have the blue guys without cover here. And that could be some major damage, just as we saw, you know, we've seen some damage going out from the other Death Trooper volley, even though it was at long range. Oh, it looks like he's actually going for the yellow unit. That's a little interesting. The yellow unit is definitely going to have cover. I think it might have been better to go for the blues instead, but what do I know? Firing on the yellow unit, it appears. A decent roll there. He gets 5 in. And they do have an aim token from Veers, I believe, so he's going to be able to reroll the 2 that failed. He could actually reroll up to 4, but it's kind of silly to do that since he had some... Ooh, wow, bad luck there. Reroll not paying off despite rerolling a red and a black die with Surge. However, still 5 wounds, cover saves 2, so 3 get in. This could be some losses. Yikes, 3 failed saves. So that's some heavy losses on the yellow squad. They are down to just their heavy weapon, their medic, and their squad leader. 1 more wound on that squad, and they will lose the DLT. 2 more wounds on that squad, and they will lose their medical droid as well. I have to say, you know, this attrition is not looking great for Asyer. He's taking heavy losses with an entire Death Trooper squad removed, plus several guys lost from this next unit. In exchange, he has done some damage to the troops over here, but honestly, even if he had wiped out that Flame Trooper squad completely, that does not make up for the loss of a Death Trooper unit. Looks like the second unit of Death Troopers is coming up now. They have an aim token from that Deploy the Garrison card. They are going to get slowed down, but they can potentially... I think they're going to move up and try to get some revenge against the enemy Death Troopers using their own aim token for range 4 shots. It's possible also that they'll do like side cohesion to try to get the Flame Troopers there, or even to shoot at the Royal Guards. Not entirely sure who their target will be. They have a fair number of options, but they are slowed down in their initial movement by that terrain. Let's see who these Death Troopers decide to attack. And the Death Troopers look like it'd be close. I don't think they're going to be able to get line of sight to the... I don't think the Death Trooper leader would have line of sight to the Royal Guards, but he would probably be able to shoot at that Snowtrooper sergeant. Staying back a bit. Okay. Now, if I were shooting at the flame troopers in this situation and I were not at range 2, I would probably just hold off and not use the long range weapon because I would rather not exhaust it and just save my suppression for a later, more impactful period. So let's see what happens here. Okay, moving to his other models. Let's see who the target is here. There's the red guys and the pink guys who could be fired upon. Which is to say the Snowtroopers and the Death Troopers. And they do have their aim token from their deploy the garrison cards, free suppression. And here comes the shot. Looks like he's going for the Royal Guard. Don't know that the unit leader can see. Doesn't look like to me like he can. But it does look like everyone else can see at least the base of that one guy. I don't know that I like this attack. Now, if they're, I don't know if they're at range 2 or at range 3. If they're at range 2, they should probably put some pistol shots in there. Okay, so it looks like it's 3 basic shots, then the DLT into the Royal Guard. They will have heavy cover. Picking up 3, so that's a weak roll, but the aim token can potentially counteract it. Rerolling 3 dice, and let's see what that can add to the roll. Nice, maxed it out. 6 hits, that's cover, we'll take that down to 4. I think only one model. I guess this guy can probably see the electro staff also. 3 failed saves, so that means 1 guy is dead and 1 guy is wounded. Looking from, yeah, so I think you can see maybe bits of the guys back there, so that's going to be... Hopefully they pre-discussed this. Don't know what those lines are being drawn for, not really very relevant here. 2 suppression, so it looks like he did use the suppressive configuration. That's not what I would have done. I think the main benefit of that isn't suppressive, but rather is range 4. So it looks like that sergeant, who is, maybe the sergeant was the only model visible, so it looks like that sergeant is being flipped over, and another guy is going to become the sergeant, maybe. So Death Troopers continuing to do some big damage here, taking down a Royal Guard in one go. Yeah, it looks like that guy is becoming the sergeant, and then he's going to flip over the other model. And let's see. Yeah, and looks like he has exhausted this card, indicating that he has used the heavy weapon. Not what I would go for, but that's okay. So it looks like they could only see 1, and they do only kill 1, so that's going to be a Royal Guard taken down. He's flipped over. Now, it's possible those blue guys can run up and heal him. I don't think they're going to be in range to do it, but it is, I suppose, possible. So we are seeing on this, okay, so now trooper unit activating is going to be the teal guys. Let's see if they go for a medical maneuver here. Checking some ranges here. They're going for it. Maybe a heal on the snowtroopers, maybe a heal on the Royal Guard, hard to tell. Or maybe they're just moving up there to use it as a shooting position and see if they can get a shot down there on the blue troopers. It does look like he's maybe measuring some range, so we'll see how that pans out. No, it looks like they've decided not to go for it. They're moving down with the main group, maybe saving that medic for the death troopers. Yeah, 2 moves there. Okay, moving up. 2 quick moves for that unit. They could heal Bosk. I don't think they want to. I think that's a bad use of a medic, especially because Bosk is regenerating. And let's see what comes next. Looks like that was the end of the turn. Things being returned here. So on that first turn we saw 1 Royal Guard, 3 Snowtroopers, and 2 Stormtroopers killed on Ronoc008's side. But on Asyer's side, we lost an entire unit of Death Troopers and 3 troopers from the Yellow Stormtrooper squad. So overall, not a great scenario for Asyer. He's definitely taken the brunt of the losses on this first turn. And we'll see how things progress into turn 2 after an extended turn 1 and setup thanks to some glitches with Tabletop Simulator and just generally not the most aggressive pace of play. Let's see what cards come out. Now, one other thing that I didn't point out earlier is that Deploy the Garrison is one of Krennic's cards, which is to say that it does have that benefit in initiative from Cunning, but because it was played in a situation where it wasn't equal, Cunning didn't pay off, and that might prove relevant later in the game as well. Asyer has confidently placed a card, and it looks like Ronoc is maybe spending a little more time thinking about his own maneuver. He holds the card for a while, but then places it. Here we go. Ooh, man. We have a push here, so just speed 2 units. Versus Annihilation Looms. 3 pip, each trooper unit gains 1 suppression token. If it's round 5 or 6, each trooper unit gains 1 additional suppression tokens. That's another one of Krennic's cards. And that's going to dish out a huge amount of suppression onto this field. So 1 suppression on every unit on the board. I'm not entirely sure why that card was selected here, but we'll have to see how things pan out. Annihilation Looms also featuring really cool art, slightly marred by an art mistake where the Rebel Pathfinders are depicted as much more uniform than they actually are. But that's the type of thing that only super nerds like me care about. The Rebel Pathfinders in this art all have the vest, all have the like body armor or tactical vest that's like only on the front and has like a strap connecting it to a belt on the back, but no like back to the vest, like a backless It's like a backless body armor or tactical vest thing, and some of them have that in the film and in the models, but by no means all of them. They're actually quite ununiform in terms of what their loadout and equipment looks like. So this depicts the Pathfinders as a bit more uniform than they actually are. But again, I don't think most people care about that, and it is quite pretty art anyway. Okay. Looks like it's going to be Veers, Krennic, Entourage onto the Death Troopers, which also clears their one suppression from Annihilation Looms. And then one other unit, looks like it's maybe going to be the Blue Troopers. Yep. So almost that whole midfield force being activated there, just not the Yellow Troopers. I personally would have put it on the Yellows instead of the Blues because I think they're more at risk. On the other side of things, we see it looks like Veers and the Royal Guards being activated. Royal Guard are on 2 suppressions as they were shot by 2 different units. It does look like maybe they've forgotten to use Disciplined, which could rally both of the suppression off that unit when they're given their order. That could be a mistake. I don't know if Disciplined is mandatory. Yeah, you may remove up to 2 suppression tokens, so I'm not going to remind them of that. But he could have used Disciplined to guaranteed clear those 2 suppressions. And because he didn't do that, he might have he might end up not being able to take 2 actions here, so that could prove to be a big mistake. Yeah, he's rolling for it. Disciplined was forgotten. That could be big. Ouch, yep, double blank. Didn't even need to roll those. Could have been automatically cleared, but nope, they're suppressed this turn, so no ability to get 2 moves and charge that blue squad, which I think they would otherwise be able to do. Very substantial mistake here from Ronoc. They are not in a good position to do much of anything as a result of that, so I'm not sure what they're going to do, but this goes to show, like, remember what your units can do. They would have been in a much stronger position if they had been able to get two actions here. Disciplined is not automatic. It is voluntary. As I'm going to highlight the card here, when you're issued an order, you may remove up to 2 suppression tokens, and they forgot. So that's really brutal. They're just going to stand by. I can't imagine that's going to do anything. I think it's just going to be knocked off by shooting. So we'll have to see. Gotta remember those abilities. This could prove to be a big blow for Ronoc and provide an opportunity for Asyer to get back into a better position. Okay, so it looks like a bunch of dice being taken out maybe for some shooting. Yeah, maybe those Death Troopers are going to just aim and shoot the Royal Guard. I don't know. I can't really tell what's happening there. So we could see the same thing that we did last time with those pink troopers aiming. They could aim, shoot their main weapons at the brown trooper squad, and then shoot their DLT at the Royal Guards to knock that standby token off, which I think is quite possible and would go to show the weakness of standby. Yeah, it looks like that's what we're seeing. Red dice going into the Royal Guard. Doesn't wound them, but does give them a suppression and knocks off their standby. So then normal weapons firing into the... Whoa. He rolls too early. That's wrong. Aim token still in effect here. Okay. So 1 wound. Not saved. So it's going to be just the medical droid and a normal trooper left from that unit, as well as the standby knocked off the Royal Guard. Repeat of the move from last turn. And once again rendering that standby token not so strong. Okay. So we're seeing Veers being activated here. Rallies the troopers there. And look, so Veers dodges and gives out some aims, it looks like. Aims to, I think, both Death Trooper units and then a dodge for himself. That's fine, whatever. Let's see here. Next unit's coming up. Looks like maybe that blue squad's going to be activated here. Yep, there's the blue guys. See if they rally. No rally. Looks like they're going to move up. They don't rally, so they are suppressed. They had 2 suppression, I guess. Oh no, they gained an extra suppression. Krennic using Compel to move them forward, even though they didn't rally, and then they're still going to get a second action, but it does leave them at 2 suppression instead of just 1. Let's see here. And what are they doing here? Shooting the red guys there. Three white, 4 white. It's splitting fire maybe, so the white dice only on those troopers, only getting 1 hit. That'll just be another suppression since they should have a suppression cover. And then the red dice, not sure who the target is. Maybe it's those guys. Also firing into heavy cover there, so not really going to be very impactful, I fear. Really looking for crits to try to take down that medic. This is sort of the disadvantage of splitting fire. It amplifies the effect of your opponent's cover. 2 hits, but they will have heavy cover since they have suppression and light cover. So that'll just be another suppression there. And, you know, if that attack had been combined, he could have pushed some wounds through. But because he split fire, it's just going to be some suppression. I'm not saying splitting fire is bad, mind you. It's just that splitting fire does amplify the benefits that your opponent receives from cover. Okay, orange guy's activating now. Let's see what they're doing here. Or no, actually, yeah, okay. Purple guy's activating now. They have an aim token from Veers, and that's going to give them quite a strong attack. However, they haven't recovered. What we could see is a recover and shoot here at range 4. They could recover and shoot the yellow Death Troopers, for instance, who I think they have out of cover. Orange guy is maybe activating instead. Orange unit leader's back here. They could also recover and shoot the yellow unit leader out of cover. This is the purple unit. Now it's the orange unit. Maybe having a little trouble with the activation thing. So orange guys could do a recover shot at range 4. They don't rally their 1 suppression, but they don't really care. It looks like a move instead. Not altogether sure why they're moving. Yeah, don't really know what they're going for with that one. But maybe they're going to be shooting at these blue guys or something, and they just want to get... If they get in range, they don't have to recover. They can just move up and get in range 3. I don't know that the squad leader can see any blue guys. Maybe they're range 3 to the yellow guys even after they do this? I don't know. They can see 3 of the guys completely, so they would have the yellow guys out of cover, but I'm not sure if they're in range now, and I don't think so. I think they were I don't know, maybe they are. They were in range 4, certainly, so that would mean that they could move up and get in range 3, but I don't know that they... Or likely. Yeah, it looks like they are just in range 3 of the yellow Death Troopers, so we could see the shot on them, and I do think they have no cover, as we can see at least 3 of them completely, including the base, and they're not obscured, so that would be... Or rather, they would have cover 1 for being suppressed. Except it looks like they actually cleared suppression with discipline, so they don't have cover. So that would be probably a good shot, yellow Death Troopers. That's probably what I would go for. With the mighty 4 black dice, 2 red dice, and a white die. See if some enemy troopers can be picked off. Maybe not. Could be yet another split fire shot. Can't say I agree with all the split fire that's been going on this game. Would prefer to just do some focused fire, but looks like it might be a split fire shot here. Split fire on one of the characters? Any character split fired on will have heavy cover. Can't really tell. Split fire on the yellow stormtroopers, maybe. If you get a kill, it kills a DLT or a droid. He does get all 3, so that will be a save required for whatever's being shot at. Not sure who exactly it is. Might be the yellow guys. And save made, no effect. It was the yellow guys, so I think it's going to be just a suppression for them. Can't say I agree with that, and I think both players are splitting fire too much. You need to focus fire and just get those kills. And then the main weapons, I think, are going to engage the yellow Death Troopers. But we'll have to see. I don't like split fire because it weakens your pool. It's possible he just wants to do lots of suppression, which is reasonable. But how much suppression do these guys have now? Looks like... I guess they are up to 4 suppression, which does mean there's a chance they'll run away. That'd be kind of funny. Black dice going out now. with an aim token that can potentially reroll all of these, so even a total miss could be rerolled. Let's see what happens. Probably going into those Death Troopers, who I believe he has without cover. If he does have them with cover, this is extremely bad. If he has them without cover, it's okay, but I would still prefer a more focused attack. Looks like 3 coming up, reroll being spent on the 1 that failed. That's going to be 4. So probably 4 saves for those Death Troopers. I do think he has them out of cover. Three. Oh, I guess they have cover 1 for being suppressed. Okay. 1 save fails. So 1 Death Trooper down from the yellow unit. Will probably be healed by the medic in the yellow normal trooper squad as long as that squad doesn't run away. So he did manage to do some more suppression with that, but I would have preferred a more focused attack. You know, we'll have to see how it goes. Honestly, I probably would have just recovered and fired all weapons into the yellow guys, but we shall see. Moving up does put you in a somewhat more relevant position for next turn. I do think that next turn we could see, Imperial Discipline used to recover this unit, which would then allow them to move up, be within range 2, and shoot that unit with the grenade launchers. Veer's now being used. He does not rally. He'll probably want to use Inspire to move one off those yellow guys so there's no risk of them running away. Inspire can be forgotten, though. It's a non-mandatory ability. So we'll see whether or not he does that. That should be a speed 1 move since he is in the train. And it is. Okay, a squad moves up. Looks like some snow troopers trying to go here with 5 suppression tokens. This is actually a decent chance to panic. No, they actually rallied 3 of it. So that's going to mean that they do get 1 action. Probably just going to be a move up and flame against the blue troopers in the center. That's assuming they can get range on them. That's probably going to be their best option, and I think that's a good chance to use the flame trooper before he potentially gets picked off. I'm not going to pan the camera down for this because it does near the heinous skull bunker, feared by people who don't want the game to crash. Do you think that'll be range 1? Oh, it's going to be close, but I think he'll have it. Yep, there he is, range 1. Flame Trooper firing and 1 normal shot since he didn't take a grenade upgrade. Interesting fact here, Flame Trooper has to see everybody. It looks like he does just barely see everybody for the flame attacks. That's going to be 5 black dice and a white die against the blue troopers. Unless he splits fire with the white die to try to do more suppression, which he could do, and it might actually be prudent to do that on those yellow guys. Try to get them to panic, but I guess Veers inspired them so they now only have 3. Nope, looks like everything in on the blue guys. 5 black dice and a white die. Let's see what happens to them. This will ignore cover because of spray. It looks like all 5 get in, or 5 get in. White die making up for a missing black die, and if they fail all these, that could be a squad wipe. Unlikely, but it could happen. Oh, man! Oh, it happened! Oh! Brutal luck for Asyer. His entire squad wiped out. I was going to do the math on that before saying it. 1 in, let's see, 2, 4, 8, 6. Yeah, that's a 1 in 32. So that's a very unlucky thing for Asyer to have happen, but that is a unit knocked off that center objective, and that's going to be a big blow for Ronoc, putting him in a much stronger position to score the center objective this turn. Asyer is really kind of running out of guys in this sector. So Asyer still has 3 units that can plausibly move up and contest this objective. Maybe the green guys also can. But it's not looking great. So this is the yellow unit with the medic. They rally all their suppression off. That's lucky. They will get 2 actions, so they could... probably they're going to heal the dead yellow death trooper with the second use on that medic, and then they're going to move up and shoot, since the medic is a free action. Screwtape777 says I jinxed him by saying that it's possible the whole unit will die. Well, my apologies to Asyer if that is the case, but I assure you I was not attempting to jinx the roll by any means. Great Admiral Thrawn says the dice are not his friend. Yeah, he's taken heavy losses here, much more than would have been anticipated at this phase in the game. In fact, he has 2 units off the board already, and that is brutal. So now we're seeing so as expected, the medic is used to heal. Both uses of the medic have now gone in to heal Death Troopers. We do see a Death Trooper from the yellow squad getting picked up. Then they are indeed moving up, and now I think it's probably going to be an attempted revenge. I don't think he's quite managed to avoid it. Yep, it does look like they will have heavy cover, just barely touching that terrain, not managing to get the special shot there. And it is important to note that this is what's it called? The one that makes it harder to remove suppression. Hostile environment. Hit crit, so that is going to be 1 save there. Maybe he's going to finish off the hated flame trooper after that flame, but not until that flame trooper had already taken a heavy toll. And save is failed. I think that we're going to see that brown medic maybe trying to save the flame trooper yet again. So, you know, that the heavily wounded flame trooper, all patched up by this medic droid, could see yet another shot if he manages to live through this turn. Special Forces coming out. That's going to be the other unit of Death Troopers. So that's going to be the purple Death Troopers here. Do have an aim token from Veers. Also have 1 suppression, so they should see if they rally that. I suspect that what they're going to want to do is recover and shoot the yellow guys, who they will have in the open. That could potentially be some major damage, and it would be 2 suppression on them, which gives you a good chance to suppress them, though of course Compel can be used in that situation. No, they're going to do a little move. I guess they're moving up, and that advances them towards the enemy, and also means that they aren't going to have to use. Recover. But I think I would actually like the double suppression from the. I think I would actually like the double suppression from the long range gun in this situation, simply because it gives you a better chance to make them lose an action. But we'll have to see. Darth Simon 70, thanks for the follow. Just saw that now. Sorry, I don't have my notifications as optimized as they could be. So now they are going to fire. So that's going to be... I don't know if they're focusing fire or splitting fire, but they do have the yellow Death Troopers clearly in the open. They will have cover 1 for being suppressed, but if that is the target, that could be some potentially major damage with that aim token in effect. Let's see if they focus fire or split it up again. I vote for focused fire, but that hasn't always been the choice made by Ronoc, so we'll see if it pays off. Now, one other thing is he does kind of have to watch out for Asyer's snipers here, who are going to be able to start maybe taking a toll on those Death Troopers if they can start doing some better rolls. They can see them, I believe, though it's hard to tell with this one. But I don't want to look at snipers. I want to look at these dice. Yep, focused fire this time. Everything going into those Death Troopers, I believe. 4 hits, gets to reroll all 3 thanks to Precise. Could even reroll another one if he wants, but I don't think he wants to. No need to try to get crits here. Picks up 2 more, so that's going to be 4, 5, 6, so that'll be 5 saves if it is those Death Troopers, since they will have cover 1 thanks to being suppressed. 5 saves for the Death Troopers. What if it's all blanks? Not all blanks, but 2 Death Troopers do fall. So, the Death Troopers on Asyer's side are taking very heavy losses from these focused attacks. We saw one unit removed completely, and now 2 more guys are killed from the other unit. Even though that one medic has been used twice to restore Death Troopers, the Death Troopers are still, taking heavy losses here. And I do think this goes to show that just having one medic to protect these units is not necessarily enough. And they may have good saves, but you can't necessarily run them in the open and expect that to be sufficient, though I suppose against Bosk that really was a stroke of bad luck. So there are still 3 Death Troopers left on Asyer's side of the board, but there are 10 Death Troopers left over here for Ronoc, and they still have 2 unused medics supporting them. So I really do think the attrition is going strongly against Asyer here, and we'll have to see how he responds. Looks like Krennic comes up. Krennic fails to rally, but he does have only 1. I think the best move here for Krennic is going to be to move out here into the open and then shoot that Fleet Trooper Sergeant. He has a very good chance to kill the Fleet Trooper Sergeant. If he can get him without the rock for cover, he will ignore the Fleet Trooper's 1 suppression thanks to 1 sharpshooter. All he has to do is roll a result on any of his 3 dice, and he will actually kill that model. And because the entire squad will be removed, that will also mean that the brown medic down here will not be able to be used on that snowtrooper. So let's see what happens. Is he going to go for the kill? It looks like they're measuring to see whether or not this speed 1 move will take him in a sufficient position to have the objective. He actually doesn't take it. He's just going to aim and shoot. It looks like he does have the guy center to center anyway. So he's trying to go for the more reliable kill. So even if he blanks out on these dice, he'll have a reroll. He has a very good chance to kill this model. And he does. The Snowtrooper Sergeant is felled, and that does mean that the medic cannot be used to bring back the Flame Trooper. So Krennic contributing to the fight with his pistol there, getting a kill, and rendering the enemy forces -1 unit on the objective. Krennic is not that bad actually with his pistol. He does have Pierce, he does have Sharpshooter. His pistol shot is pretty strong. It's kind of like Leia. It's not quite as good as Leia, but it's it's not nothing. However, his main benefit is from Compel and Cunning. So now the Brown Troopers there are being used. They have quite a few suppression tokens. I do think they lost one of their own guys this turn, and it might be prudent for them to use their medic on themselves. And the reason I say that is I don't think they're going to have a good opportunity to use their medic on anybody else, and if they use their medic on themselves, that'll be another guy that the opponent has to chew through, and it would put them... I think maybe they just use their medic... Oh, it looks like a different unit's activating. But I think if the Brown unit activates and gets 1 activation, they should use their medic on themselves and then just run onto the objective. That's probably what I would do. So this kind of teal or seafoam or whatever this is squad, I would maybe, I don't know, so there's still a Death Trooper unit there that's pretty worrisome, but I would maybe move up and shoot the yellow guys. I'm not entirely sure. Or they could move up and shoot Veers, who I think they can catch in the open. The bounty has been put on Veers, so that could be an opportunity to set things up for Bosk so that Bosk can use Hunter to engage Veers with that free aim token. And honestly, if that's the plan and the rolls go well, Veers could be killed this turn by some lucky shots. We'll have to see how that pans out. Looks like they are positioning a bit more defensively. Medic kind of hiding behind the tree. I guess the normal troopers are maybe going there to try to see Veers. Can't quite tell. Looks like one of them can't see him, but he's rearranging his guys. Yeah, I think he is going for the shot on Veers here. So General Veers, the target of the bounty, is caught in the open and is at range 3. That does also mean I don't know if Bosk is going to be at range 4. It's hard to tell. I think Bosk is going to be at range 4 if he moves up, though. Yeah, he should have it. He should have it, but I could be wrong. Yeah. Or what's going on here? Are they not going for Veers? Doing some repositioning. Looks like he's decided to play it safe. He's not taking the shot for Veers. He's just moving up and he's dodging, kind of hunkering behind that tree. I don't know. This squad doesn't have a DLT, so it's kind of reasonable not to shoot, but I think I might have played them a little more aggressively there. I think the in the open shot on Veers could be pretty good. Alright, let's see what's going on next. Okay, so we're looking at the, we're looking down here. We have the snipers being activated, one of the two sniper teams up on the rooftop. And let's see if they can maybe do some damage to try to get Asyer back into a better position on attrition, which he is really losing out on right now, having lost 2 units and substantial parts of 2 others, as opposed to killing 1 unit, a few troopers from a not that important unit, and 1 Royal Guard. Looks like an aim up there. An aim and a snipe at somebody. Probably Death Troopers, quite frankly, but there is still that blue medic waiting to back them up. Could even, I don't think he has line of sight to the brown troopers, but like a shot there could potentially kill a medic. Oh no, he's actually going for the blue troopers. Okay, try to get another suppression on there. I don't even think he can see them though, so I don't think that's a good shot. Yeah, I don't think he can see them. I think they're blocked by that cliff. Yeah, I think he can only really see Death Troopers there. Maybe the players are discussing that now, though. So looking at the sniping here, he is lining up a shot at somebody from that tall tower, but medics are standing by on the other side, so this sniper may not be so impactful. We'll have to see how things pan out. Here comes the snipe. Total miss. Does have an aim token. Not going to do it. Just a suppression for whoever was targeted. So it does look like they decided he can see that guy. You know, maybe they're, I don't know what they're doing with that. Maybe they decided to play that differently or something. I don't think he could see, but, you know, whatever it is, it's going to be okay. And then I don't know what that random die roll was. Oh, it was to see if they rally, which I guess sort of matters, which they didn't. I would use that brown unit first, but we'll have to see. Rallies both. Nice. Good roll there. Moving up a bit. So this is technically going to be a slightly illegal move because they are going to move through that thing as they move down the thing. Does need to move it a little bit to the side. It doesn't really matter. He easily has enough move. I don't know what they're doing with this move, though. Maybe moving up for a DLT shot? Or they don't even have a DLT. Yeah, I don't know. Moving up a little bit. He could heal Bosk, but no Death Troopers have died to even use the medic on. Oh, maybe he's going to try to train scope the yellow medic. Oh no, just kidding. He can see the DLT also. That's not bad, I guess. Put some shots in there, maybe do something. 4 white dice. 50% chance to get a crit. I don't know. That's like a... You have slightly better than a 25% chance to kill somebody, and if you do kill somebody, it's a DLT or a medic, which is pretty valuable, and if you don't kill somebody, you still put a suppression on there. I don't think that's bad. They're not really doing anything else anyway. There's a crit. Yep, gonna be a save. And if it fails, that DLT is out. Have to remove the DLT before the medic. It fails. DLT down. So, yeah, that squad is left with just a depleted medic and a squad leader. So the depleted medic's only purpose is to kind of catch a bullet for the squad leader there. Tough break, as losing a DLT really does diminish that unit's firepower and make the attrition game even worse for Asyer. This is only turn 2, but Asyer has taken very heavy losses. He has 2 units removed completely, 1 unit down to just the squad leader and a depleted medic, and his remaining Death Trooper unit is only slightly above half strength. The other side of the things, most of the damage is not being generated by core trooper units, so the damage that has been done to the core troopers is not necessarily that relevant. It's just these big squads of death troopers. The 2 big squads of death troopers are basically uncontested. I don't even think a single shot has been fired at them. Oh, no, that's not true. I think the sniper shot at them last turn to no avail. And there are still 2 medics hanging out with those death troopers, potentially able to pick them up, even if things do go wrong. So can't say that this is a good-looking situation for Asyer and his ability to shut down the guys that are doing the most damage to him. The other sniper activates and does recover. Let's see if an aimed shot from him can pick somebody off. Now, one nice advantage here is that if he does pick off a death trooper, the medics have already been activated, except for the brown medic, who is unlikely to be in range, and therefore it won't be able, that death trooper won't be able to be restored. That's one of the downsides of this. If the activation order comes out the wrong way, the medics might not necessarily be as useful as they are on paper. He can see the death troopers. He can actually see the teal guys with... Oops, he drops his guy off the board. He can actually see the teal guys with no cover, maybe, which might be a better shot. Can't really tell, though. Looks like his... What? He clambers down. He's repositioning. He's leaving the tower. He clambers down and then moves around the edge. Well, that used both his actions, but it will give him better shooting in the future, so... Not sure I understand that relative to moving to the edge of the tower and shooting from there, but maybe he's afraid that Veers' bombardment will kill both guys. Okay, sniper repositioning, and then we're going to see a core unit coming out here. It's going to be the heavily wounded medic, I feel. Actually, I think it has to be. Suppression, he clears 1. He will panic if he's not in range of Veers, but I do believe he is in range. Veers is... Oh, yeah, Veers is just over here? Where is Veers? Oh, Veers is the gray guy. Yeah, he's in range. So I would use the medic on one of my own guys and then move on to the objective. I do think he has the ability to... I do think he has lost one of his guys this turn to firing from over there. So I would heal the remaining brown guy, assuming the medic is likely going to die anyway, and then move up and get a 3rd unit onto that central objective. Lunta says he strongly dislikes putting snipers in towers. Yeah, it's really something that can backfire. You know, you have great line of sight on the one hand, but on the other hand, a lot of enemies can see you, and bombardments can potentially pick off both guys. It really depends on situational factors. The other thing is that if your opponent maneuvers to avoid the tower, you have to spend a comparatively large amount of time repositioning to whether you deploy it on ground level. Okay, yep, looks like just a move, not using the medic on himself. I think he should do that, but I think he forgot that either I am misremembering and he had only lost He had not lost anybody this turn. That was all last turn. Or he is misremembering and doesn't realize that he can use the sniper. Or can use the medic, rather. So now we're seeing a new unit, the green unit here. They probably would have liked to shoot at those guys, but didn't get the chance. They should probably move centrally, I feel. I think that they are out of position here, given that the Royal Guards are not rushing that objective. They don't rally. They are probably in range of Krennic, so we could see a Compel being used. Yep, Compel being used. Second suppression on that unit, and they are going to now get moving. Krennic doing his job. Compel is very strong. You know, we've seen it this turn alone generate, I think there were 2 different times where it meant that the Imperials here could take 2 actions instead of just 1. Compel is really the main reason to take Krennic. It's a very strong ability, and we're seeing it in action right here. Moving up. That's the Compel move. They still have another action after this. Maybe just running for that center objective. Hard to say what their main objective is going to be here, but I think just running for that center transmitter is maybe a good idea. Compel is basically a stronger version of Inspire because it doesn't have some of the timing issues that Inspire suffers from. Additionally, Compel has the ability to sort of just be always on, which is nice in various circumstances. But the downside is that if you use it, it does give you a suppression for using it, which does mean that there's that chance, you know, that the thing is not going to do so hot. Which is to say that there's the chance that using Compel is going to ultimately end up with your guys more suppressed in the future. It's really a shame for Ronoc that he forgot to use Disciplined on those Royal Guard. I think if he could just be in an incredible position of advantage here. But I don't know, it seems that, I don't know, one thing that I will say is that it could be that ironically forgetting the Royal Guard rally with Discipline may actually put them in a better position because it meant that he held them back in this conservative spot, and they are on the objective more or less uncontested. So now these green guys taking their second move, getting up to the rocks and putting a second unit on this center objective for Asyer. Now the problem I see here is that if he wants to get a third unit on it, it's going to have to be these yellow Death Troopers. He doesn't really have anyone else that can get on the objective, and I'm not sure they can get there in one move, especially because the unit leader is still in this terrain, which is going to slow them to speed 1. So because of those factors, I'm really not sure. They might have to spend both their moves to get in on that center objective, and that would not even give it to him, it would merely tie it up. So I'm not sure that I like the situation overall. I'm not really sure that I like it. Not sure I like it one bit here. Because I don't know. The other option, of course, would be having the Death Troopers move out and try to wipe out the brown unit. Where if he does get those kills, that's equivalent to moving them up to contest it, but it does put him ahead for attrition on later turns. So that would be another option to try to go there, but it's a little less reliable. And it would be even less reliable if that medic had been used. I think this is the last unit to go on Ronoc's side, and it is Bosk. Bosk on a suppression, which he does rally. The infamous bounty hunter Bosk, having done huge damage to the Imperial Death Troopers on the other side, killing 4 of them. Let's see if he can do a similarly strong performance with his next shot. I do think he can get an in the open shot on Veers. and I do think he could get various go for crit shots on other units. It's possible he might just want to be like, all right, Death Troopers, I'm lining you up. I'm going for crits on you again. If I can... Oh, man. If he goes to the north... see, this is interesting. There's a lot of different ways he could go. It looks like he's going up the edge of this thing into the... onto the top of the mountain here and taking a shot from there. Bosk just kind of sniping away. Oh, yeah, that's actually a very good point, Screwtape. I hadn't thought of that. Screwtape points out that the Imperial Royal Guard could soak hits if Asyer goes for the brown unit to try to pick them off. And that is true. Huh. Tabletop Simulator having some glitchy terrain definitions again. This is a common problem. But Bosk climbs up, has a wound. He should roll to see if he regenerates after this, but let's see who he's shooting at. So he can see the medical droid and the yellow guy, and he's almost certainly in range of them. He can see one green guy. Oh, he's in range to basically everybody. He's not in on Veers, actually. But he is in range to Krennic, he's in range to the Death Troopers, he's in range to the yellow guys. I might go for the Death Troopers here, honestly. I guess he can only see two of them. Yeah, it's the Death Troopers. He does have that double suppression that he can put on them too, which would be pretty annoying in theory. But I think he's just trying to maximize that Pierce. So Bosk trying to rack up more Death Trooper kills to his name after taking down 4 of them on that first turn. 1 red and 4 white dice with Surge to crit. He has honestly a better than average chance of getting 1 in. This is not a super reliable attack, but on the average number of crits generated by Bosk's gun is actually 1.25. So he has a pretty decent chance to at least pick off 1, and he'll probably give them some suppressions as well, though of course Krennic is standing by to compel them. Grand Admiral Thrawn says, here comes all crits. Yeah, that could be if he gets real lucky, that could be a dead Death Trooper squad. These high variance units are always a little scary on the battlefield. I don't think he could actually see 1 model, so I don't think he's going to kill the whole unit even if he rolls hot, but we'll have to see. Looks like 3 hits, so no crits, but 1 does get in through cover, kind of getting 1 in the standard way. And that will be 1 dead Death Trooper and 2 suppressions on them. So Bosk has now taken down 5 Death Troopers. So that's basically a full squad of Death Troopers, which costs more than Bosk. So he has already made his points back. Don't know why they're rolling. This attack does have Pierce. I guess they only had light cover. Oh, yeah, okay, so I guess they only had light cover because this model wasn't center to center on the no, that model, they did that wrong, I think. I think that guy does have center to center on the tree, but it's hard to say. I don't know, maybe he doesn't. In any case, they passed both their saves thanks to Surge to block, so it does end up with only 1 model picked off. Lunta says Bosk is a touch OP in my opinion. Yeah, I think his gun is really good. I don't know that he's overpowered per se. I think his defense is very bad. So, if things can move up and engage him, I think he crumbles relatively quickly. But I think that his shooting power is certainly very high. Okay, 5 suppression on these Death Troopers, I think. Thanks to the... they could panic if they don't rally... They rally too. They barely avoid panicking. Screwtape points out 2 months ago coordinated fire was the end of Legion. I actually am still of the opinion that coordinated fire is very unbalanced, but I can't deny that it hasn't had the crazy effect that some people have feared. Grand Admiral Thrawn says Ronoc008's playing Bosk very well. Yeah, I have to agree. Ronoc has been playing this game, aside from forgetting the Royal Guard and debatably forgetting the Medic this turn, which are both kind of unforced errors. I do think that he's been playing quite well. If you just look at kind of the formations here, you can see that Ronoc008's formation is a lot tighter and a lot more structured, whereas Asyer is kind of losing his formation coherency here. He's sort of spread out. His units are not necessarily in the best spots. His Krennic is a little further back than he should be. Veers is kind of in the open. The snipers have had to kind of maneuver around to get stuff. Whereas Ronoc knows where he wants to be and has his guys in a very focused position.
And I think that's also reflected in the casualties that we've seen, with Ronoc focusing his fire on the most important targets and doing heavy damage to his opponent's Death Troopers, who are the main damage dealers in that army. Whereas we've seen kind of shots spread across multiple targets. You know, there's a dead Royal Guard. There are some dead guys there. The Flamer unit was wiped out, which was good. That was good for Asyer. But there has been no damage done on the Death Troopers, who are not only Ronoc's main damage dealer, but also have a lot of kind of control aspects with their potential suppression and so on. And furthermore, Ronoc's the guy on the objective, so I really don't think that's going great. Now, we could see these Death Troopers shooting for Bosk, but they're so depleted that I'm not sure they would be able to get through his cover. I do note that it does appear that Ronoc forgot to regenerate with Bosk, which is a little sad, but, you know. I think he actually forgot to regenerate with Bosk twice. I was going to say it's possible that he was keeping it up in order to use Tenacity, but he doesn't actually even have Tenacity equipped. So we're now seeing these Death Troopers moving. They're finally getting out of the woods, and it looks like they're going to shoot. Maybe they're going to shoot for that Brown squad and try to take them off the field. If they get lucky with that shot and get, like, double crits or something, if they get double crits, they could get 2 shots in that the Guardian couldn't be used against. And then if we see 2 failed saves, that would be the Brown squad dead, and then it would tie the center objective 2-2. That's quite unlikely, though, and I do think what we're going to see is 2 points claimed by Ronoc and only 1 by Asyer, with his forces in the center insufficient to contest Ronoc's hold. Grand Admiral Thrawn, that is a wound from Reptilian Rampage, but there's no rule that says you can't regenerate that. There hasn't been a single shot fired at them. This turn, he could have fired with the Death Troopers, but they're now so depleted that it wouldn't likely do anything into that heavy cover. Does look like he's targeting... No, he's targeting the Royal Guard? Is that a misclick? It is a misclick. He's targeting the troopers. Okay, this could... He does have an aim token for 4 rerolls, so he could just reroll everything going for crits. That would only give him 1 crit on average, but it's not unheard of that he could get a bit lucky there and pick up 2 crits with this sort of attack, force them to roll their saves. They would have to then... It would then be like a 1 in 4 to actually kill them, but... Oh, and then the Sergeant's actually using his pistol for 2 dice to get a more chance to get crits. That's reasonable. I would reroll the red die here, as well as the 3 whites. It will likely hit anyway, and it gives you more of a crit chance. Looks like 2 get in. 2 saves being taken. Not sure why he rolled those. Should be on the Royal Guard for one of them, but 1 wound does make it in and kills the medical droid. So substantial mistake there. Mistake there from Ronoc. 1 wound should be on the Guard and 1 on the squad. I think he forgot to use Guardian. I think he also forgot to use his medic, which could have brought back a regular trooper, but either way, his squad leader did live through the engagement, and we are looking here at the center point being scored by Ronoc 3-2. Not looking great for Asyer here, not looking great at all. I think that right now, so we could see, I don't know what command card we could see, but Ronoc has a lot of options that are pretty scary. We could see maximum firepower coming out for a bombardment. We could see lying in wait used to charge up Bosk, give him a bunch of aim tokens to try to roll a storm of crits into cover. We could see... I don't think we're going to see the Diaxis charge. I don't think it makes sense to use it here. But we could also see he's used push and he's used rampage. Yeah, so he has maximum firepower, Dioxis, lying in wait, and Imperial Discipline, presumably. We could see Imperial Discipline used to recover those Death Troopers and maybe turn them onto their grenade launchers to allow for strong attacks punching through cover as they assault the objective and just try to cement Ronoc's hold on this area. We could also see perhaps them switching on to long-range beams and engaging Veers in the open, trying to set him up for Bosk to then take the bounty. In general, bounty is not so relevant on intercepted transmissions because intercepted transmissions tends to have high scores normally, which means that the extra point from bounty isn't usually the thing that turns the tide. It's much stronger on objectives like breakthrough or key positions where the amount of scoring is usually pretty low. Okay, what's going on here? Command card decisions being made. Asyer has his. Ronoc is making his play. I have to say I really like the lighting effects on this map. It has a cool like twilight effect. You know, the battle at dusk. Let's flip some cards. Imperial Discipline on both sides. We're going to see Imperial Discipline probably being used to recover those Death Trooper weapons. Let's see who wins the roll-off. Looks like that's going to be a roll for Ronoc, and if he gets a block, he will be first this turn. He does want to be first, but he misses it. So it is going to be Asyer going first this turn. A stroke of luck for Asyer. A little bit of help in a situation that is rapidly getting out of control. So he probably appreciates that. Okay. So he gets a free order. He does remember his Disciplined, which is nice. Free order from Entourage. So that's going to be Veers, Krennic, Death Troopers. He still has one more order to give. The snipers are probably out of range. Man, he's really depleted here, though. This is brutal. He has basically 2 functional frontline units. Man, this situation is not looking good for Asyer. It's even worse than I thought, actually. So sometimes I talk about frontline units. What I mean by that is units that can like move up and do the objectives and like are resilient enough. Lunta, does Entourage proc Veers' command card? Yes, it does. When a friendly unit is issued an order, it may recover. So then, what was I saying? Oh yes, I had to talk about frontline units. So we only have 2 frontline units here. That are like at full strength. That's the green troopers and the pink troopers. Both these squads have enough wounds that if you put them on an objective, they're probably going to live. The yellow troopers were a frontline unit, but have taken 2 heavy casualties, and they also don't have any real damage output. The death troopers over here are also a frontline unit, but once again have taken 2 heavy casualties and don't have much damage output, though better than the yellow guys. Krennic is kind of a frontline unit, and Veers is kind of sort of a frontline unit if you squint. But it's not looking good for Asyer. His ability to take that center objective is really getting depleted, and there is still this deadly firing line of death troopers back over here. Now, interestingly, I don't understand this. He hasn't opted to activate the death troopers. He is not going to activate those death troopers to recover their weapons. That's not the normal play, but maybe he thinks just the standard guns are good enough in this situation. Okay, so we're seeing it looks like the Death Troopers of Asyer are the first unit to activate. Groggy Dog, yeah, he was talking about Imperial Discipline, and yes, it does activate. Okay, here we go. They're moving up. And let's see here. What's going down? They're moving? Yeah, they're just kind of pulling back. Well, maybe they're not moving. I can't really tell. I would personally take a shot at that guy first. I think you can see him. I don't think the barricade gives him cover. Oh, I was wrong. The barricade does give him cover. Oh, maybe not. No, just barely not. But it looks like he's shooting for the Royal Guard. So maybe moving a small amount, shooting for the Royal Guard, or shooting first and then moving. Can't really tell. Not sure if he moved them already. I think maybe he did move them already now. He did recover onto his go through cover gun, and he gets 4 results against those Royal Guards. So the grenade launcher firing here into Royal Guards
4 saves being made, and okay, I saw that wrong. I thought it was 3 failures, only 2 failures. Electrostaff Guard is picked off, and that's going to be another suppression on those Imperial Royal Guard, showing the power of the Death Troopers even on 2 guys. By using that grenade launcher configuration, they're able to push shots through cover, taking down an Imperial Royal Guard on the other side. I'm a little surprised we haven't seen the Royal Guard activate already. I think that I would maybe just want to run them out there, attack the yellow guys, probably melee them down, get an activation off the board for the opponent, but it looks like that's not the plan. And the other side of things, we do see General Veers. Looks like he's giving aim tokens to his troopers. Veers giving aim tokens to Death Troopers is a strong combination. And now we're going to see a move. Or no, we're going to see another dodge. So Ronoc is playing a lot more conservatively with Veers than I normally do. I like to have him up there firing his gun. But, Veers is sitting back there running his army, giving aims to those Death Troopers. We'll see how that goes. Grand Admiral Thrawn says he's going to get walloped by Nema tonight. Nema is very good at this game. I would consider Nema and myself to be on the same tier, which isn't to say... I don't say that boastfully or whatever, but I've had pretty good results. But Nema plays in my local area. We've been to some of the same events, and Nema is a strong player. Yeah, both players still have maximum firepower. Looks like 2 moves for Krennic. Rather than shooting that unit leader, he is elected to move up and stand on the objective. I think this might be a bad call, because I do think those Royal Guard might come in there and punch him in the face. We'll have to see. Krennic is fed up with his troopers and comes in there to hold the objective himself, but I'm not sure that's going to be the best move. I think I would have probably sidestepped and shot there. I don't know, maybe that would have left him out of cover. He just wants to get behind the barricade. We'll have to see. Krennic does have a steamed leader, which means that if he does get shot at, he can put one of the hits onto the yellow medic droid, potentially. Which would be nice. And he might be in range of the green guys, too. In fact, I think he probably is. Let's see here. Death Troopers being activated. They're barely within range 2 of those yellow guys. I could honestly see them recovering and shooting, but they can't see the unit leaders. That seems kind of silly. Or no, they're going to shoot at the green guys, or they have a better shot too. Can't tell what their other action was. Yeah, it looks like it was a recover, they recover onto the long-range configuration and then exhaust it, so that's going to be a suppressive attack against those green guys with, I believe, 4 black, 2 red, and a white, and an aim token. Grand Admiral Thrawn, catch you later, man. Thanks for checking out the stream. And so we're going to see a total of 7 dice being rolled by these still full-strength Death Troopers against the green guys there. I do think they'll have cover, but I'm not 100% on it. Picking up only 3, so that's a below-average roll, but they can reroll all 4 failures thanks to Precise 2. That's really paying off there with Veers to give them an aim. And yeah, that's going to be 6. So it looks like they were ruled to not have cover, so that's going to be 6 saves and 4 losses. Brutal. Another heavy toll being taken by these Death Troopers. They're really doing some heavy damage. And I have to say, Asyer is just running out of units. He does not have the damage output anymore to contest these Death Troopers, I feel. The medics on that side still unused. I don't really see a path to victory for Asyer here anymore. He is just taking too many losses to those Death Troopers, which he is allowed to go basically uncontested. And Bosk is still up there as well. So there's 3 very lethal damage dealers up there, kind of just raining firepower down on his forces, and he doesn't have that much to do about it. Hey, what's up, Yavin Base? How you doing? No rallies either. They are in range of Compel, of course. So we are going to see Compel being used. We have seen Compel do a great job at basically negating the suppressive effect of these guys on the other side of the board. But yeah, this solid core of Death Troopers has proven extremely difficult to deal with for Asyer. He is just taking heavy losses even from a long range attack. So his sergeant moves out there. Maybe gonna move into close combat with that. Maybe he'll move into close combat with the Royal Guard to try to save somebody else, or close combat with the Brown Sergeant. Try to keep himself alive. I don't know. Not looking great. I would maybe move into. I'd probably rush somebody. Yeah, Screwtape777 says bold move. It is, but like, I don't know that he has really any non-bold moves left to make. Yeah, he's running in, tying up the Royal Guard, trying to make it so that they at least can't get one of the bigger units. A noble sacrifice by that trooper, after his squads was just wiped out by the extremely efficient and deadly Death Troopers. Right, yeah, I guess they had at least 3 of them there. Screwtape777 says I would hide behind the rocks. I think he can still score from there. Yeah, I think that might be what I would do too. If he can't score from there, he can pop out to get on those rocks for the next turn. But we'll have to see how things develop. This is the 3rd turn, bizarrely. Massive casualties taken on Asyer's side for the 3rd turn of the game. But we'll see what happens next. How are they doing on time? They've been playing pretty methodically. I don't think there's a lot of time left. Yeah, only 10 minutes left. Okay, so this is actually the end of the game. I don't think they're going to complete another turn after this one before the game times out. So this actually does mean that if this is in fact the end of the game, this actually does mean that there's more of a chance here than we would otherwise think. Because this will be scored and it will count double this turn. So because of that, I do actually think there's a shot for the victory. Right now, this objective is actually tied. It's 3-3, and those Death Troopers already activated, so they're not going to be in play. It might just come down to rushing the objective on the last turn, and we might see an incredible comeback from Asyer. Though I'd be a little disappointed to see that, quite frankly, because I do think this is a scenario where if the game were not about to run out of time, Ronoc absolutely has it in the bag. But it's also possible if they play fast, they'll get another turn, which they are currently not. They're not at. I don't know what he's doing with this. You can't assault somebody like that. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing with this. You have to make contact with your unit leader. Hopefully he doesn't think that he can charge like that. So then maybe they're going to shoot or dodge, shoot at the yellow guys or something. I don't know. Oh, they're moving up. And they're using their medic to bring back that Royal Guard who was killed this turn, though he does come back with a wound on him. Yeah, so they're finding the wound. There it is. Their medic being used. Royal Guard back on the field. That does mean the Royal Guard are a lot more dangerous in this close combat. So then this guy being placed in cohesion with the Royal Guard. I don't understand what's going on here. Yeah, more dice to kill that one guy. That's true. Okay, so then... And then after this, I think we should probably see an attack into the yellow guys there. So... try to finish off that one sergeant and medic who are standing on the objective. Good move with the medic there. That does mean that the chance of killing that Royal Guard, killing that one trooper in combat with the Royal Guard is very high. I don't remember if he took tenacity. It looks like he did take tenacity, so that's going to be a lot of dice into them. Right now, though, just a simple shot at the medic and trooper. Unlikely to do that much. Yep, just a suppression on them. Heavy cover there is pretty relevant. Okay, if it comes down to rushing the objective, the orange death troopers can do it, and Veers can do it, and I'm not sure who else can. If this does turn into a tie, I think the game is in the bag for Ronoc. He has clearly done a lot more damage. So honestly, I think this one is going his way. They are probably going to run out of time this turn. Yeah, maybe Boss can make it too. Can't tell. Core unit coming up. The guys there, they see if they rally their one suppression. So Krennic rushing the objective makes more sense if it looks like we're going to run out of time. I think these guys probably want to charge. If they can charge the teal unit, that means that they will themselves be unable to be shot off the objective. That's probably what I would do with them. Probably go for the charge. Seeing if they rally. No rally. But Compel is there waiting for them thanks to Krennic. Yep, there's the extra suppression. Compel really paying off this game, as we've seen. Really giving a lot more actions to Asyer. As we kind of limp towards the end of the game here. It does look like they're moving into hand-to-hand combat. The droid cannot attack, even in close combat, but they will get a chance to punch with their sergeant, maybe. Looks like they've actually decided to go the other way. I would personally go for the safety of close combat. The safety of close combat is going to be... Oh, they were just moving it to do placement. Okay. Yep, so safety of close combat there. Now, the next thing they should do is probably just punch. I think nobody can possibly attack them. So there's not really any point to dodging. I guess the brown sergeant could rally. And then move up and punch them, but he can't kill them, so... We're seeing a big scrum on the center objective with Royal Guards and multiple trooper units from both sides, plus Krennic hiding behind the barricade, still on the objective himself. However, I don't think it's going to avail Asyer with the victory. I think he is just too far behind. Excuse me. He does get to swing one punch, though. He gets a hit. And a kill. The one sergeant from the yellow unit does manage to defeat one of his opponents in this last charge. But I feel it is too little too late. The one brown sergeant going... I guess this one sergeant, if he rallies everything, he doesn't rally everything. He could actually move into combat with the greens. Oh no, but the Royal Guard has to move into combat right now. So he wants to probably move into combat with the yellow guys so that he can't be shot at. I would move him into combat with the medical droid. Then there's no chance of him being bumped off. Yep. This is an absurd scenario. Tabletop oddity, yeah, it could technically go to points. I think it's unlikely that it will, but it could technically happen. So right now, each side has 3 units on the middle. The yellow troopers, the one green trooper, and Krennic are Asyers. And the Royal Guards, the one brown trooper, and the teal or foam troopers are Ronocs, which means it's 3-3. If no other units move in, then it's a tie. But I think it's very likely that the Royal Guard will kill this green trooper. I guess also maybe these pink troopers can run onto the objective and Veers can take their home objective, or maybe Veers can get on there. But then we also have these orange guys who can potentially move in onto that objective, and I think Boss can maybe make it as well. So, you know, it's complicated. Asyer kind of trying to go for the last stand here, trying to reverse what is looking like a very unfavorable game, and managed to squeak out a win on time before his units get wiped out. We'll see if he can do it, but I don't think it's going to happen. Sniper coming out. These snipers have been really ineffective. Oh, maybe this sniper can do 2 moves and get in range of the objective, and then both of these can rush that objective? That might be possible. That might be possible with that teal sniper. I don't know, though. It's got to come down to it. It's actually the up top sniper going to aim and shoot. The other thing is if he moves up Veers, there's a chance that the Veers would get killed and the bounty would be claimed, which would be crazy. The thing is, this is going to count as the last turn, so each of these is worth double. The minor point advantage is only going to matter if the center objective is a tie. Aiming and shooting at the unactivated orange Death Troopers. Is this going to be the first Death Trooper kill of the game? Against Asyer, or against Ronoc. 1 hit, reroll to try to get the second one. And got it. So 1 Death Trooper will be picked off. Asyer finally on the board. Tabletop oddity, both of the Death Troopers on both sides. There are 4 units of Death Troopers in this game, and they're all configured the same. They all have the DLT and the special gun. However, as you can see here, heavy casualties have been suffered by Asyer's Death Troopers, whereas this is the first model lost by Ronoc's Death Troopers. He does pull the Death Troopers earlier than he probably wants. Let's see if they rally. No rally. So they probably just need... They have 2 actions anyway. They probably just want to go for the objective. I think like it's a little sad. You're kind of wasting that big firepower. But I think they need to move up onto the objective. And then if you can get in range of the objective with 1 move, then I guess you shoot Veers. But I don't think they're going to be able to do it. So we'll have to see how that goes. Tabletop oddity. I think that... So in this game, we've seen the Death Troopers on Ronoc's side do a lot of damage at long range. I think double Death Troopers might well be played. I've actually been thinking about a kind of similar army to Ronoc's. I think that the fact that they put out strong damage output at range 4 is pretty scary. The main question is just, can you get around snipers? Snipers are kind of a big problem. As Screwtape says, Bosk is also a big deal. Bosk is like pretty annoying at long range. So that's also a factor to consider. Okay, so it looks like the first action is a shot. I think this is wrong. I think he's losing his focus. He needs to be putting those guys on the center objective. There's no real reason to shoot the unit. It's basically out of the game at this phase. And the save is made, so he just does a suppression anyway, or maybe 2 suppression. I don't know if his gun is up. Yeah, so I don't think that's correct. I think he needs to be pushing the objective instead. I think attacking that unit just doesn't have any relevance to the game. DLT is splitting fire on somebody, not sure who. Yeah, so I was thinking about, well, he's rerolling everything, going for crits, gets 2 hits, not going to do anything. That might be on Krennic. What? Why did they only take 1 action? Do they have 2 suppression? Oh, did they recover? Yeah, wow, they recovered to their suppressive profile. That was a big mistake. Just doesn't do anything. We are at time. So they're going to play out the current round, but I actually think Ronoc might have just lost the game. I think he might have just snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory. Because I think this game is totally his, but he needs the Death Troopers on the objective. He doesn't need them taking pot shots at units that don't do anything anymore. So I think that's actually a huge error. Ronoc, if you're watching this, no disrespect, man. But I think that this may be indicative of a loss of focus on the objective, or it's possible they're not playing with the time. It's possible the time got messed up thanks to the situations with Tabletop Simulator lagging or Steam or whatever, and they've just decided they're going to play it out no matter what. If so, that's cool. That move makes a lot more sense in that context. But if they are, in fact, going to run out of time at the end of this round, I think it's a major mistake to not have those units going for the objective, because there are going to be a lot of guys on the other side on that objective. Tabletop Oddity says that having medics really changes the list type to me. Yeah, medics, I do think that having medics with your Death Troopers is definitely something you're going to want to do. I think there's a really natural synergy there, and it really helps against their kind of main predator, the sniper team. 2 moves there, running onto the objective. We may see Asyer pull out a incredible comeback thanks to the time and his seemingly superior focus on the objectives. This squad is in close combat and can't be shot. That means we're now 4-3 on this objective with Asyer in the lead. He has 3 Stormtrooper squads and Krennic, and his opponent Ronoc has 2 Stormtrooper squads and the IRG. Now, I do think the Royal Guard can kill that one guy, and that would even it out. But then there's still Veers to rush the objective, and I think this objective can be claimed by the sniper. The IRG can kill 1 unit, but then if Veers gets there, maybe Bosk can get there, maybe the blue guys can get there, but it's gonna be tight. Yeah, Bosk will probably make it, so maybe that will be enough. But if we see bad dice from the IRG and that one guy lives, that could suddenly put him in a very dangerous position. Okay, another squad in there, a giant melee scrum, but Ronoc is the one with the Royal Guard who are sort of the last word there, as their capabilities in melee are a lot better than those of the various opponents. Bosk is aware of the importance of this objective. I am not going to get too close to his position because of the camera glitches, but if he moves to the edge of this thing, I believe he'll be in range 1, and if not, he can clamber down and be in range 1. Completely ridiculous. As usual, Tabletop Simulator pathing not doing great on these obstacles. I believe he's in range 1, and if not, a clamber will take him in. Please just hit the range button so we can see. Yep, he's in. Okay, so, or is he in? No, he is not in? He is in? I don't know. Maybe they're saying he's in. I think he should be in. He's also shooting the yellow guys, I guess. 2 hits, no crits, just a suppression. Hopefully he is in. If he is not in from this position by their evaluation, that's going to be extremely silly. And he regenerates his 1 wound. These guys are probably going to rush that objective. Sniper's getting in there. They're on the objective. Yep. Okay.
These guys moving up, medic being used to revive, and orange death trooper, they're going to just kind of hang out on their own objective. Next action will probably be some kind of shot. Yep, shooting at those death troopers. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he's just playing this as if we're going longer, but these are kind of pointless actions. 2 crits. That could be the death of the death trooper sergeant, which would then mean the DLT would be out. He is out. So sergeant becomes the new DLT, which means the DLT is out of commission. Viewers rushing the objective. Asyer is playing very objective focused in an appealing way here. We'll see if it pays off for him. Assuming that they have ruled that Bosk is on the objective, this could come down to whether or not the IRG can beat up that last trooper in close combat. Don't think he can fit there, so he's not quite in close combat, but there's not enough shooting left to finish him off this turn. Not sure what's going on there. It's coming down to it. This is coming down to the wire. I don't understand these pings. Screwtape says those blue storms that shot at the DT could have made it as well. Yeah, I think they could have done 2 moves and been on that. And then the Death Trooper unit leader is probably in, or Veers is probably in, or something. I haven't done the measurements myself. But I think this is closer than it needs to be. Let's see what comes next. Veer's in there. IRG probably going to aim and punch, take down those IRG aim and punch, and if they don't take down those green guy, Asyer might have pulled out an incredible reversal of fortunes and victory. Can they take down the green trooper? If that green trooper sergeant lives, this could be an amazing comeback for Asyer. Assuming that they are playing that the game will end at the end of this turn. Against an overall... Okay, aim and punch should be... 3 red, 4 black. Because one of those guys... What? No, what? Should be 3 red, 4 black if there's an electro staff. I don't know who died. Yeah, normal guy died, so it should be 4 black dice and 3 red dice. Yeah, that's what we got there. Okay. 2 black from the electro staff, 1 red, 1 black from each guy. Bonus red die from tenacity. Aiming and clobbering. If he doesn't kill this one trooper with this big attack, he might honestly lose this game. Here we go. Lots of hits. Doesn't have a surge. Oh no, worse than it looks because he doesn't have a surge. Wow, quite bad roll actually. Only 3. This is survivable. 1 in 8 this guy lives. Will he make it? He's out. Okay. That sergeant barely didn't live. So now, assuming that they ruled Bosk to be in, there are, I believe, 4 units to 4 units. It will be a tie on objectives, and Ronoc will win on points. Yeah, tabletop oddity, I would not risk a game on that either. He could have had this much more comfortably in the bag, but I do believe that's going to be the game. Okay. I am going to jump into the chat with these guys and make sure that's what's going on here. But I believe that Ronoc will take the game. Let's make sure what's going on. Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, what's up? So is this over now? Okay. And what was the outcome? Okay, sounds good. That was an intense game, guys. Thank you for letting me stream it. I'm gonna just do some like post-game chat back on my own. I've been having some issues with broadcasting other people's voice on stream, so I'm not gonna do like an interview. My apologies. But yeah, thanks for letting me stream this. It was a very interesting game. Okay. So I was just talking to them briefly. I had some issues when I was trying to do a post-game interview earlier. I need to figure out some settings for my stream on my new computer. But it did end up with Ronoc with the win. The center objective was a tie, which does mean that we have on the right side here 2 points for Ronoc. On the left side here, we have 2 points for Asyer, and then the center ties, meaning that he wins with the 1 extra point that he had from the first round. Doesn't even need to go to tiebreakers, win with 1 point. Do think it would have been better to send some more guys into the middle and win that one as well, but it ended up being okay. So that was the game. Very interesting game. So we did see Death Troopers on both sides, quite different levels of effectiveness. The Death Troopers over here on Asyer's side took heavy losses early on from Bosk and from the enemy Death Troopers shooting them. And on the other side of things, we had the Death Troopers that were almost uncontested, still at full strength at the end of the game with only 1 medic used. So it seemed like Ronoc's more supported Death Troopers were very effective in overcoming Asyer's less supported Death Troopers. The 1 medic on Asyer's side wasn't enough to keep his Death Troopers up, though Ronoc certainly had some good luck as well with that crazy roll from our man Bosk up here. So overall, Death Troopers doing a good job of laying down fire here. We saw a very unusual list here from Ronoc with Bosk, 2 Death Troopers, and a Royal Guard, but most of his normal squad's not equipped with DLTs. However, it did pay off and get him the win over Asyer in this Invader League game. A lot of Death Troopers on display here, so people who are interested in Death Troopers, this might be a good match to show both some of their strengths and weaknesses. You know, those big dice pools at long range with aim tokens were devastating from Asyer, or against Asyer. But on the other side of things, the Death Troopers took too much attrition on Ronoc's side to be all that relevant. And yeah, Screwtape, this is a 9 activation list from Asyer versus a, I believe, 10 activation list. 9 activation list from Ronoc versus 10 activation list from Asyer. The Imperial elites with heavy investment in Royal Guard and Death Troopers carry the day against the Veers Krennic double Death Trooper double sniper list. Alright guys, that's going to do it for the stream. Thanks to you all for watching, and we will be back later on with more Star Wars Legion content. Thanks again guys, I will catch you later.